player in this, then you know where my allegiance would lie.
Sorry. No, you keep going with your excellent point that I rudely interrupted.
No, I thought Gen.G, I thought were great yesterday. I said Skies was my man of the match, even though they lost. Skies was my guy. MACKO, on the other hand, again, I think played really well. But I just think Gen.G impressed me more. I just think the rounds that Gen.G had, they were really clean. Look, there were some pretty good rounds well from MACKO. I think back to the clubhouse that they played against Falcons, where they had that gym bedroom attack, where they used the Aurora to rush up main stairs. I thought that was genius, but I don't know. I just think the coordinated play style of Gen.G was very, very impressive. And I just think that they've gotten better as the stages went on, where I think MACKO is maybe, would you argue, have kind of petered off a little bit from where they were at the start of the stage. They've kind of went in the opposite direction, whereas Gen.G started off really bad and have slowly built their way back up.
Now, obviously, you and I were in the driving seat for a lot of last night, as were these two teams, and it was a long one, I think is the fairest way of putting it. But what we had from both of them was brilliant performances. Yes, there could be favourites, but ultimately they took two huge teams to task for what was hours and hours and hours, and now they get to go with that sort of energy on a fresh start. Yes, they're playing for less reward. Yes, they're playing for, you know, some other stuff of importance, but you would have liked to have taken the big game. It doesn't mean you slow the roll here. Monty and the ace against the Kaid and the Clash, a shield apiece, and a bit of back and forth on the walls. It's a pretty standard removal here, Demo.
It is. And you mentioned as well, you know, what they're playing for. If whoever loses gets 0, which I think it's like you may as well have just went with Wolves and Wild and the rest of them. What's the point of playing all these best of threes if you get nothing out of it? So I think it's more the case of these teams need to win to get those points, or else it's just, what's the point? Why do bother?
This first engagement, I hope it's going to be one that sets a bit of the pace. The compliments that we've paid towards these rosters, it was sort of different. MACKO, they played some great pocket plays. They drove themselves into situations and scenarios where they were able to wrest control of a round within a sort of quick split. But it took a bit of time to boil. Gen.G's approach was slightly different. Yes, they had some good plays, good team moments, and good drives, but the sort of tail end of it, it would often come down to a single player that would pop off. The pressure on towards operation. The wall will get cracked open, sort of not contested here. The mirror's in, slowly slinking past Blackbeard position, but you can see they're flooding in above, so Deadshot now has to watch behind him, have the cross angle, can't just bandit trick it on. Seems like a fairly solid take here towards the main stairs and the walkway. The Blackbeard once again just revealing position, but there's nobody to move behind it as of yet. It does make them very scared here though.
Yeah, I think Nako's going to be at the hot seat, obviously, on main stairs. It's an area that attackers are going to try and get up into, because then you get Mez control from that. So he'll probably have a fair few bits of util tossed at him momentarily. May that be nades, or even the Capitao could get involved. You see the bandits, though, that's the issue. They need to get the EMPs over to allow Ghost to open up this wall, but at the same time, there's absolutely nothing stopping Deadshot to go for the bandit trick. So MACKO going to be very, very careful about how they want to play that. And not much happening at the moment. Now they're going to make their play, but Ghost gets shot just through the smoke. The audio was enough for that pre-fire to come in, and Ghost sadly walked straight into it. They have been able to take main stairs, but you've lost the Habani, you've lost your heart bridge. How do you get into the bomb site?
Could just be from trying to walk in the front door, but with Deadshot's position and with not really a breach pressure behind him, they can play this as a cross angle, and they can play with time. Keep barricades going up, and 20 seconds, all that's left. Deadshot does suffer a bit of a scrape, but again, there's no other direct pressure coming towards him. There's got to be a bit of a force onto the door itself, and there's the grenade. Gets rid of Deadshot, but 10 seconds, more smoke canisters, and a single touch. You just have to go for it at this point. They might not know about the Azami, but Dora doesn't even really matter towards the end. Moves, sprays, gets caught out, 2 seconds, can't get the kit, just hold the trigger, and the round will end in their favor.
Just a meat grinder in the end, really, wasn't it? And a meat grinder, I think they've got the smoking department as well, because that smoke came in pretty big. Obviously, you kind of look at the play for MACKO. It was all about taking in towards main stairs, trying to get, you know, that main wall open, and then try and go for the default plant. Now, the issue is whenever they're going for that main stairs take, out of all of the players and operators that you could have sent to try and assist that Blackbeard with taking main stairs, send your sole hard breacher to run across an open doorway, albeit yes, smoke, but smoke isn't bulletproof. And you've lost the Havana, and you can't open the wall. And you have to walk through a single door with 30 seconds left, and there's a smoke. It's just a whole lot of nothing, really, for MACKO, I think, that round.
It's rough, really, and I think it's the fairest way of putting it is slow to build into. As I said at the start, they're a team that can sometimes find opportunity, and at their strongest, they found it against the strongest opponents. It was almost a weird metric we actually measured them from during the season was, okay, why are they, of this team that has come up here, finding the success against these bigger teams? There's a fearlessness about them. They throw themselves into the woods and they come out howling. But when they're against smaller teams, when they're against teams that know them, when they're trying to get things even more perfect, sometimes perfection doesn't pay off, really. They get stuck in the reeds and drift around until, 20 seconds left. And unless you force that utility out, as you sort of said, Demo, they have so much to delay at the end there. And Gen.G know them. They're not just going to throw it in. Oh, there's the pop onto one. Bit of damage onto the Fenrir, and they do get one of the F-nets on the slip in, but here, as Ghost takes a bit of damage, Akwi's on the catch. No, wasn't quite in position to get the drop there on the rotating player out, and they've been able to steal some control here underneath Demo quite quick.
Yes, horizontal take is kind of what it's eyeing up to be, but there is still one player upstairs, but it's just Teb by himself, and don't forget there are roamers in the top floor, so I think Teb is making a big risk just by playing up here by himself, and now he's going to start to get pinched by two of these roamers, but Deadshot is looking the complete wrong way. Lack of comms from Gen.G, and this round is as good as done.
Okay, weird sort of pacing there. I mean, I sort of talked about a lot of things there, Demo, as is technically my job. Talked about an awareness of each other as a main thing. No, apparently not. Apparently that's not true. They didn't really seem to have an awareness on the take. It was, I don't know if simple is the right word there for MACKO. It takes sort of a style to just cut your way directly into warehouse. You don't always see it, but then the motion behind it.
This was, I don't know what's going on with these two roamers.
Yeah.
Outtep gets two of them. Like, you look also it's a horizontal take. You know, that was what MACKO were trying to go for, which is fair enough. We see horizontal takes, you know, work. Especially if you've got like an operator like Ossa who can face check and obviously has that portable cover that you can place down and you can try and get a plant with.
Yep.
Then they send the sledge by himself upstairs to, again, you'd expect to do some vertical work, but very risky sending one player above on a pretty heavy rover map. Then Teb ends up killing two, which I just found it crazy. The guy who was making head holes behind Teb, you're telling me he didn't hear the sledge to tell his teammate, oh, this guy's here? I don't know. It's weird from Gen.G. Very, very weird.
At this point, all tied up, all level, and you kind of want the pace to increase, obviously, as we sort of progress throughout this showdown, this series. It turns into that sort of back and forth between the two teams. Quick breach on towards security, gets the wall open, gets the pressure in, Demo.
Yep, MACKO just going through the motions of making sure the main breach is going to be opened up. You can see that they've even brought in that Thatcher as well, just to make sure that that will be done. With no Cade on the board because they went for that ban. I think maybe just fearful of just in case there's a mute jammer or maybe even a bandit there. But as we can see from Gen.G, they've brought no wall denial. They're happy enough to allow MACKO to get that exterior wall because they are playing so heavily in towards that top floor. We've got 4 players upstairs, which is usually the common trend that we see. One player will typically linger in the bomb site, usually with a C4 in case a rush comes in, which again, pretty frequent we've seen this stage on a map like Lair. So yeah, the setup looks pretty standard. for MACKO, what is their decision making? Now, look, we've seen this round play out a lot. For this bomb site, we've seen teams go every which way the way that they wanted to attack it. And what we've generally seen is teams who kind of refuse to go above and just ignore the defenders holding the vert angles. They usually seem to get punished. We see teams who go above and do the hard work usually get rewarded better.
It's sort of, you know, it's almost a trade-out because there's been moments where people who go above, they try and get, as you said, all the hard work done, they try and get the opening. They don't pay keen enough attention potentially to the retake possibilities. That is a motion I'm a bit curious about. Obviously, they pull themselves in. They're going to get the cement on the kill there with the C4. There's now 2 for the round. They've lost the Thatcher and the Thermite, but the breach should be primarily done. However, here, what do you do? Because they have the verticality. You can't just throw yourself in and plant. You don't have the smokes for coverage. You're going to have to try and swing your way up, get a kill, maybe try and get a second. Look at the positions, though, of the MACKO players. They are all so isolated. Yeah, you've got players in the middle of Gen.G here, but they don't have to move. They don't have to leave. They've got 28 seconds. You got to hot foot it, get the rotate round, and try and drive yourself together. There's Azox taking a bit of damage. Might be swung round on here, close left. Hit from above, though. And at that point, with the man disadvantage, I mean, you just can't really force this site demo.
Need to go above. You cannot allow their defenders to have just such free range. And it's not even that. It's, I think we've seen a round from G2 last week where G2 had to attack that same bomb site, and yes, they tried to just go direct. They didn't really want to go near that top floor, but then they were still bringing in operators who had util to disrupt those players above. They did it via flashbangs where they could just flash the players off the vertical angles as they went in for the plant. Gen.G just tried to go in raw, it felt like. You know, they're applying no pressure whatsoever. I mean, there's Habana who was just sat inside of Master Office and he's just sat there the whole time. Didn't really want to make a move. The Gen.G players just had to say, okay, we know he's there. He cannot see where I'm playing. He cannot see my vert angles that I'm holding. So I'm in no trouble at all. They need to do much more than what they're trying to do. I mean, that bomb site, again, we've seen it so much where teams are just refusing to actually go above and hit them upstairs. You're going to get punished. You cannot allow players to play in the vert.
Traded rounds, but we went... It's a sort of weird pace there from MACKO, right? We're talking about what they could have done better. We're talking about what they could have done wrong and right in that sort of application. The round before on towards Lab, it was a very direct take, and it felt like they're in control. It felt like they're in the driver's seat. And then the first and the third rounds... It's just been elements of great first step, now what? And that now what is kind of haunting them. Now's a chance to have that answer to the now what as they remove the mirror against the Maverick themselves. Maverick, he's had a fair bit of work recently. I think with the sort of new ban system, especially on maps like this where there are some big hard breach possible angles. Very quick rehost call there. So we will have a rehost. The Horseman demo, get him gone. Seems to be the MO. Get that horse guy out of here.
Not the horse guy.
Have you ever ridden a horse?
No.
Would you? If I pitched it for content?
No.
Okay.
Not really my vibe.
Producer Tommy, cancel the horse content. Cancel the demo rides into the Copenhagen studio on a horse content. Get rid of it. Keep the Anne teaches her 2 sons and the casters how to dance content. Keep that.
I can bust a move. I don't need taught.
Okay. I want to dig into that, but I'm worried what gold might be uncovered. What do you mean?
What's the move?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Any elaboration?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
Nope.
Okay. I feel like you're the sort of person who at a wedding runs in, slides on their knees.
Got the tie tied around my forehead.
Tied around the forehead.
Playing the air guitar.
Yeah. Occasionally some Disco Inferno. John Travolta dancing. And then maybe a default dance.
little bit of Harlem Shake in there.
We're in a tech pause. It's been back and forth as of this moment, but now we get the chance for repetition. And as I said, you know, the first approach into ops, good. You're getting that control. You're sort of seeing a dedicated take towards it. You've kind of got 3 different elements of takes on towards this top floor. You've got getting control of ops, pushing your way up the stairs, trying to get the breach open. Cool. You now have that half of the site. You've got yourself on towards Master Office. Great. You go onto display. You go onto R6 room. You put pressure on top green. Great. You're onto there. And then you've got some underneath pressure. I'm wondering if MACKO are going to fob off the Master Office where it didn't really work and try something on the opposite side with an Ossa where they have had more success, Demo.
Well, I think probably just... Look, you're expecting Gen.G to go above again, and really it's just the issue that MACKO had was getting walls open. And I think in a map like Lair, where there are still elements of you have to play the kind of hard breach operators, it's not fitting into criteria maybe like your borders or even your chalet and your cafes, where you can maybe get away some rounds without bringing hard breach. I think for a map like Lair, some of those walls are very vital to open up. You know, we've seen that was the issue with MACKO. You don't get those walls opened up, and you're just going to be funneled into a choke point. So yeah, I just think MACKO, you missed out on a basic the last time you were here towards the top floor. I think Gen.G will probably go for a similar thing where they'll want to try and bring in, you know, the Mira, for example, to help with some of those holds. Again, I think the smoke will be a must pick because it worked so well for them last time. I do wonder what the bans are going to be looking like now as well, though. I wonder maybe Gen.G going to opt for maybe that Blackbeard ban, because we know how strong he can be in a map like Lair, whenever there are those corridors where he's just pushing one way, which is where you want to be if you are a shield. It would be obviously a very good ban. Maybe for MACKO, do you just remove the bandit? Do you open up those walls so much easier for yourself? You don't have to worry about wall denial.
At this point, obviously there's been the limitation of the mirror, you know, ever since the day she was invented into Rainbow Six Siege and appeared, she has been on the banning list, on the banning docket, even before bans were a thing. I think Mirror predates them. But you were still like, we should really do something about her. She's just too powerful, Demo. I know that you have many a phrase thrown towards her, and her ability to extend the site and to make things more awkward for MACKO's approach. You know, do you think that's going to be something that's massively detrimental to how Gen.G have been holding these sites?
I think whenever an operator like Twitch has been so frequent in the current meta, I don't think Mira is too much of an issue where you have to maybe go for the ban on it. I think Twitch just brings a lot to the table. You know, Twitch able to pick off as much utility as what she can is insane. You know, you think about how BPs are very, very common in a lot of operators. Obviously, yeah. Traps are always going to be a thing because traps are the counterplay for the shields a lot of the time. Then you also look at your Goyo, which I think Goyo the past year has been incredible in terms of that operator having so much value. You think a lot of basement sites, especially, the value you get out of the Goyo is second to none. Do you remember ever Goyo used to have just the shields? Like, you used to just put 4 deployable shields around the map with the Goyo canisters on it. Oh, that's going back, isn't it?
I had actually... Now you've said it, obviously, instantly comes back.
It wasn't 4, I think it was 2. Was it 2 shields he got?
I think it was 2 or 3.
I think it was 2. I'm pretty sure it was 2. I think he had 2 deployable shields that had the Goyo packs on them.
They had the packs on the back. I thought it was 3, yeah. But I could be wrong. Yeah, Nightmare. Who, I guess... Okay, now I'm sort of trying to piece together what has been ostensibly...
We can go back a lot of stuff and talk about a lot of things that used to be.
10 years of this game now and working out when things happened in time. A time period that included a global pandemic, might we add. Because they came out before Shields had the splits in. Did they? And then the Shields got the splits in, and that made Goyo just ungovernable, and they had to do something about that.
Yep, they changed it. Yep, just the packs then. Which I think, honestly, the packs are much better. I think Goyo, definitely much better Goyo than what he was to the Shields. I know the Shields could be difficult in 1 or 2 spots, but for example, you think about, let's say, Bike Basement. How on earth could you use the Goyo for bank basement if it only had the shields. It'd be much more difficult to use. You know, the way the Goyo just stacks up just one after another on the one wall. You couldn't really do that with a shield, so it's, yeah. It's, I suppose it works both ways, but I think I like the Goyo now. I mean, you can go back and there's a whole host of stuff you can kind of just list off the way operators used to work. You know, there's a time whenever a lot of operators had C4s. You know, Frost had a C4, Cav had a C4, Smoke had a C4 at one point.
There's been a long history of mistakes and lessons learned.
We could get the smokes through the wall. Remember, they just teleport through one wall to another. That was
I remember when mute jammers used to just cover the entire wall and weren't just arcs. So there was, they were as
I remember
good.
you had to put about 4 mute jammers to cover like one single wall.
Yeah,
so the radius was not good.
And it didn't go down, it just went up. So you could like
bandit with 3 bits of barbed wire.
I remember when, and this will show some age, when I played the beta, and Pulse, his heartbeat scanner was a full outline.
And you could quick switch.
Yep.
Which was quick switch Pulse back then with a
unbelievable
shotgun. Oh my.
It was shot the Sniper 90.
If only Gen.G could see that Pulse now.
Honestly, I don't know how old Gen.G is, but he was probably single digits when that was a thing.
No,
which makes
he's not that young,
isn't he?
He's in his 20s, is he not?
I don't know. I thought you'd be like well keen Gen.G fan.
I'm not a Gen.G diehard.
All right, but you're both G2 diehards.
That's a debatable topic about who he supports. I don't think he necessarily supports just G2.
Listen, he's doing bits for your fan base. Be happy. I'm a Fear X fan. How do you think I feel all the time? 2-1. We're back in the game. And we'll start to get some progress here. At this point, obviously they've sort of kept themselves going. As I said before, there's the idea of how you can take this site. How you can start to put the pressure on towards it, whether you go for a take onto here that I talked about, put the pressure on the back, on towards green, draw their attention onto our 6 room, maybe make your approach a bit more feasible. I'd actually called the chance or the possibility of an Oster take on towards the back of the site and on towards the opposite end instead of Ops. And they've got the Blackbeard, but it does seem like they're focusing on our 6 room this time, Demo.
Yeah, I think maybe they're going to try and play more for the verts and see if they can find picks via the buck. Just make the players feel a little bit uncomfortable inside the bomb site, which is just something they didn't do the last time, was make them feel uncomfortable. Oh, the Echo was almost a tee up for Azox to get the quick switch, but thankfully for Dora, is Lolo at his back, who has protected him. That means that MACKO are going to be 1 kill up. Never mind, Deadshot just swings along, and nobody's there to trade. Nobody's there to trade. Hello.
Well, you say hello, and they said goodbye, Demo. Now, they've got the Buck watching the rotate underneath, trying to force the player out, but there's only so long that the Buck can sort of sit there. The keepers will give them a second, but as soon as they hit this rotate, they're expecting, well, the pressure of a Buck just peppering, but cannot get a connection with 40 seconds. Something has to happen here, MACKO. No, not that. That's not what you want to happen. Maybe the flashes, maybe the swing on the back of it gets one, almost gets the spray exchange to the second, but somehow neither of the players end up with kills either side. Akwi, though, at this point, does even have time to get upstairs. Well, if he hot-foots it and holds the sprint key, he might be able to make it close, but they need something else. It's going to be a fight here, round onto the back of the window. Do they know? Held so close on the angle, they're fully aware, but... Oh, it's a dive! It's a sort of dive on the fight. Deadshot gets one locked in. Deadshot gets his third. And they tried a different plan, but they found the same result.
Wow. I mean, for Gen.G, Skies, I thought, did really, really well in the position that he was. He's stuck in that room, yeah? He's not getting out of there. The rotate is not only being held by 2 different players, but also the Buck below is also holding his escape. So Skies knows that. He just says, you know what? I just have to try and stay alive. The Izami, great operator. See the way he was using that to give himself some cover, reposition. He was also able to get a kill in the midst of that before he eventually died. So Skies did really well, I thought, to delay MACKO, get their picks. For MACKO, they need to be more cutthroat. Yeah, if that guy is stuck in that room, you need to kill him. I think probably the biggest issue was they lost their Blackbeard. They lost the player with nades. One nade would have been detrimental to Skies in that position. So losing that Blackbeard early on was not great for them. They didn't have anything then to push that player out of that position. And again, it's just easy for Skies then to take those engagements because we know what kind of player he is. He's so talented. So yeah, MACKO just, they need to be... They need to go for it more. They just can't sit back. Somebody needs to step up and say, you know what? I need to kill this guy.
3-1 Gen.G, and the distance grows a little bit further. Now Lair itself, obviously, it gives them some space to play into, but the worry is it's not MACKO's map, right? It's a map where you can bring yourself in, you can try and get some of this competition, but ultimately you want to try and put the pace on before you find yourself on Cafe. We always describe it as a very intricate map, a very stressful place to try and put the pressure on your opponents. And Lair, if they don't find themselves... God, we could get another 4-2 half at this rate. How many did we have yesterday? I think it was like 7 in a row.
Something like that.
Whoa, well, we'll get an instant back and forth. Azox is found, as is Ghost, but they lose the Legion and the Gridlock. Actually, two kind of problematic operators to lose for either of them. The Shield of Lolo is going to feel a lot safer from some certain swung corners, but at the same time now they don't have that safety behind them. Think about the game that they played last time, Demo. Drove themselves underneath. Now, without that flank watch, they have to be so keyed in to the steps that Gen.G take on their defense.
Yeah, plenty of staircases that you'd like to lock down if possible, so not having the track stingers just means they have to be a little bit more active on the cameras. We've got Lolo and the Blitz, and they're currently teeing up a roam hunt right now. You can see the drone going in, and Lolo just waiting until he gets the signal, but actually instead decides to divert and go in towards Boiler. Now maybe MACKO thinking, hey, if they're just going to roam heavy, why don't we just go direct into site? We have the Blitz, he can try and isolate a player inside the site, but I don't know. It's still going to be very, very tricky. You put a lot of pressure onto your Blitz, and oh no, you've lost the Habana. That's not going to help you. A player down, and MACKO once again on the back foot, and NACO just comes out of nowhere, swings and open rotate. Doris should get the trade, which he does, but there's still more roamers above he has to deal with. He's still got Deadchop here.
It's that big problem, right? They just have nothing that they can sort of keep themselves safe from. They're in a 3 versus 2. There's still pressure on the swing. As soon as you hit one of those Ela mines, as soon as you hit any of those smoke canisters, either of them are going to be in a very tricky spot, but Dora more so. All that utility in the pockets of both of them, and this is all that they can hope to do, Demo. There goes to the smoke. There goes to the shotgun. There goes a 4th round Gen.G's way.
Yeah, good from Gen.G. Again, I don't think Gen.G are doing anything crazy. It's this game. I think their setups are fairly standard. It's stuff that we've seen before. But I just feel as though MACKO are hesitating. I think a perfect example is just that round that we witnessed. Yeah? They know that there's going to be roamers. They've done a trade for trade, 4v4, and you have your 2 options. Do you commit and just go full into the site knowing that there's 2 roamers above? And try and use that Blitz and force your way in. You still have got execute operators there. You've got the Blitz. You've also got the Capitao as well to help him. Or do you isolate those roamers above? Again, you have that Blitz who's also great in that department. And you get the kills upstairs. The Blitz went down into Boiler, but then he didn't commit to going into the site. And then they were still going above, but then they didn't have the Blitz to help them with roamers. They just didn't know what they wanted to go with. And whenever you're bringing in an operator like Blitz, you have to get value out of that operator. Yeah? Blitz does not do well if he's like the last operator alive. If he's in a 1v2, it's a nightmare for a Blitz. Yeah? Because he only has a pistol. He can't flash 2 of them at once. He's not going to be able to get both of them. Blitz is great whenever you have a man advantage, or if you're just in a straight 5v5. Blitz can, again, assist. He is that support operator. Just tee up your team with kills, or he just kills them himself. So they need to use that Blitz in a much better fashion. If not, just drop the Blitz.
this point, with the timeout called, they know how desperate it is to just get that one extra round, that one little bit of difference, because as we sort of talked about the history of these two teams on this map, it's not great. MACKO, they were only able to find one successful attack on the opening half against VP when they played it not too long ago, and then VP closed up with 2 quick attacks on the other half. You don't really have a decent place to stand. But at the same time, it's a very similar story that I think Gen.G went through, where I believe they were only able to net 1 from it. Off the top of my head. Yeah, against Falcons, they too the same, got 1 attack. So if you're looking at exponential sort of growth here from the side of Gen.G,
drone activated.
Massive success story, but as we are keenly aware after yesterday for both these two teams, it is a tale of 2 halves. MACKO, though, they want to just make sure that they get something on neither of them that feels a bit substantial. Quick look on towards the back line of the Bandit. It's Deadshot, and there goes Ghost again. Losing Ghost, and again losing their flank cover demo. Oh. Oh. Almost got a second on the same door.
Yeah, not good. Not good for MACKO. I think they're certainly losing that opening kill a lot of the time, aren't they?
Send it out there.
I mean, again, we've been over this. You cannot go direct unless you go above. You know, you need to take those players off the verts, and we've seen what happened to them last time they tried to do it. Just didn't work. They're also struggling with the wall. You can see that the Bandit really causing issues, and Lolo, he knows where he is, he knows he's there, but what can you do against them though? They're going for it, they're using the sets.
C4, easy. No, didn't get the catch. The shield survives. How they are alive that long, I don't know from the side of Deadshot. They finally get finished, but now the plant is being secured. They're too focused. No, it's not. There's a C4. Now, it's what? A 3 versus 3 technically, because Deadshot is truly unguessable in that position, depending on actually if anyone does rotate round, but you'll have to go across the eyesight of Lolo there, and unless they get Lolo, it's not going to happen. Akwi is able to find the next, but they have the long watch onto these positions. 45 seconds, they still need to go for the plant, and they still need to know where is safe to do that and where the kit is, Demo. Think about where it was dropped, and now they're so scared of it. If they just bowl in, it can just be watched from above, and that is entirely what Azox is doing. So what do? This up towards the top. They know that you're coming, but MACKO can just focus out. Drive on the fight. There's one. There's the trade back. Teb, massively important, but Azox bites right back. It is Teb versus Azox, both massively hurt, gone towards the kit, able to collect it and moving to a new location to try and find a safe plant. It is being secured. They do have the angle though.
Wow, I mean, that was really well played from Gen.G in that 2v3. You notice that they knew where the kit was. The kit was in that corner from the Blackbeard initially. A little bit of an issue there, I think, with the breach. I don't even think they got the wall open. I think it wasn't fully done, so he couldn't get in for the main breach. I mentioned before, as there always usually is one player in the bomb site on that hold, and it's just with a C4. So if that rush does come in, he has that C4. And yes, the C4 didn't net him a kill, but what it did was it removed the sense wall. It blew that up. And then they had clear lines of sight onto that Blackbeard. Blackbeard couldn't plant. Then that gives them enough time to get the other C4 tossed out, gets that kill, diffuser cold in that corner. Now, for MACKO, they did have the man advantage, and they know that they cannot just walk straight in through the door because there's going to be that player sat upstairs on the vert. They sent 2 players above, but one incredible thing that Gen.G did with those 2 remaining players, one player hold the vert, the other player protect the guy holding the vert. Asset did really well. He only got the 1 kill, but that was enough. He got that 1 kill, it then stopped MACKO from being able to push above and clear that player upstairs. And whenever it comes into that 1v1, he either pushes for the kill, which just isn't going to work because Azox can just run away, or he drops and tries to go for the plant. We know that's not going to work because they have vert holes on every inch of that bomb site. So really well played from Gen.G. Really good decision making in that 2v3, the way that they kind of delegated one person cover for the plant, the other person cover that player. It worked really well for them. And MACKO, again, I think time has been a big issue as well, hasn't it? I feel like a few of these rounds, they've almost scrambled, haven't they, to try and get something together, but it just hasn't worked for them.
It's been a rough start, and technically exactly the same scoreline that, as I said before, they suffered at the hands of Virtus Pro. Is this that haunting moment of, oh no, it's happening again? I mean, it's very different opponents, but as we said before, and we said before, hey, they were great yesterday. Hey, they weren't so great when they were a blast on this map. That's the thing about these two teams, is they've had really hot days and then days where they just could not fit the pieces of the puzzle together and make a pretty picture. Instead, it just sort of lets shoot up cardboard and frustration. Gen.G can try and double down on causing that frustration, putting quick pressure and control on towards Skybridge, get the cross towards the breach, and it also opens up the avenue if they do need to rotate on towards the pressure on the other side and top green. They have that route, a direct sort of run on towards it now. With the attempted breach on the wall, there it goes, and with no ban to play to stop it. I mean, what a focus on what is a very problematic game for MACKO's approach here, and now they're just executed down.
Nice. Yeah, you can see the game plan from Gen.G with the bans. Just get the walls open as quickly as they can. Don't have to worry about the Cade or the bandit trick coming in. So, yeah, you can see that Gen.G, they have their game plan set. Get the walls open. Start creating these devastating crossfires you can have on this top floor. Using this Blackbeard as well. You know, this operator, we've been over him many a time, just how good he is for taking space as that shield, has the nades to clear away the util. Again, nades, whenever you see that the Goyo is going to be taken up by MACKO, you love to have the nades there. You can clear it away oh so easily. Really good pacing right now from Gen.G. A minute 15 still remaining. They've got the outside breach open. Now they're opening up in towards our Citrum. This is just going to put so much pressure now on MACKO, and it's almost like you've got the trash compactor on the Death Star. It's going to just start closing in on you.
Well, like the fires that Anakin was burned in, they are surrounded by nothing they want to touch. They don't quite have an even spread of high ground though here, Demo. It's all flat land, and it's going to be a flat horizontal fight as we start to push in. Deadshot is that sole player all the way on the back end, holding on towards the display window, but the role of the sense gadgets is just drawing out attention. There goes MACKO. Lolo removes a gridlock, but Blackbeard is trying to find a sneaky way in. Slight rotations, but sort of forcing a very tight angle fight there. They know the player's in that position, but they're not quite lost out. There's the roll of the sense. They still find a kill, and it's go, go, go. Off to the races, and after trying to get a plant secured over the top. Throw the grenade, stop the motion, and oh, it's just blinding.
Yeah, beautiful. Honestly, Gen.G impressing me big time. The pacing, I think, has to be highlighted. You see how quick that they got everything opened up? And then the panic just ensued into MACKO. All of the smoke grenades were gone by 30 seconds. He had to use them all so early because of the way that Gen.G set themselves up. And once you have 30 seconds remaining and you know there is no plant denial, see how easy that is for Gen.G just to simply walk in and fear nothing. Using the sense to give them that in. Again, Skies, I thought, had a really important kill on the Tev. He needs to clear that guy out of that pause. That was the only issue that they had. Everything else was covered off. Yeah, Gen.G, 6-1 up. Very, very well deserved. They've looked fantastic.
Fully agree. It's really hard to argue with the sort of approach here, and you know, everything was tight. They come into this with a great ban system as well. The game that MACKO has struggled with, I sort of alluded to, was those walls, was the control of the breach, was all of that position, and Gen.G have just stressed that. They've just doubled down and said...
Made it easy for them. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. And, you know, there's a lot of conversation about how a meta shapes, or what defines a meta, whether we've had previous ones, whether this is entirely a shield one. Yes, there's a lot of shields in this meta, but the focus on getting walls open and the new ban system limiting hard breach is the other side, or just actually the defender side of it, because there's no three shields to ban.
Falcons do a lot of that, don't they? They like to go for the hard breach bans.
Yeah, and it you're just lost. You're a bit puzzled. You can get rid of the two like this, so immediately they have to play through the three sites if needed to. It's not always the best case, but on a big map like this with a lot of hard breach, Yeah, great. Then if you really want to triple down, do the mute as well and make them just have a horrible time. You know, immediate pressure, dead shot. Wants to keep adding to the already pretty solid tally that mirrors the score of the game so far. So if he might get one, then that could be the game done.
Good early pressure coming in from Deadshot, just to kind of let the defenders know that they're coming for them. They're going to be going for this run clear out, and that Azami isn't going to last long, as again that DMR just rips through those barriers with ease, and out goes the C4, but it'll catch nothing, and here comes the Blitz, but he is going to be battled back by two defenders looking at him right now, and there's an impact. It will catch the Blitz, and now it's a 4v5, and they have to see if they can battle back from this, but no, it's getting worse and worse as they've lost another, but the DMRs are ringing through, and it's going to be Aquis downed. So as it stands, this is going to be a 3 versus 3.
3 versus 3, but they can maybe try and find a way to go to Aqui. They can get themselves that one extra... No, they can't. Skies has killed them. Aqui's gone.
Make way for Boogie!
Tight. Now, Gen.G, they're taking chunks of damage here, and you're looking at an impact that could probably do the end of Skies or Azox. Otherwise, that is it, apart from already placed utility. Great guns and great chance to swing into these engagements. Gen.G have time. They're taking it as best as they can, weighing things up, measuring, and seeing where they could try and get themselves just that first decent step into what could be a hurdle into the end of the map.
It's all about Dora. That's who we have to look at. He's the lone soldier right now on that flank, and if he can maybe appear with a kill or two, it could be big.
Oh, it's so silent. This is when you are in the game and you tell the group chat to shut up. And then the group chat just starts going off because, well, you pop on one, they're actually going to pull off the plant. They were worried about movement behind it. But they might have, I'm not entirely sure if there was an attempt to swing back on towards it, but now there shouldn't be.
Changing mag.
Dora just gets the next, and yeah, you called it there. It's all down to Dora. Because they went exploring.
That the first Dora Explorer reference has been mentioned on cast?
It's the first I've made. I'm surely not, but
I don't know. I feel as that's such a you thing. You think, well, I mean, you expect Tim to, it's Dora Explorer, Des. Did you think he's going to whip that out?
I think Tim might because he has a child. So, because I know he's also made I think Tim was the first to go Baby Shark do in a call.
Yeah.
We all want to do these things.
Let's just hope we don't have a pro player come in that's called Peppa, because that'll be big issues then.
I was gonna say or one called, because based on Peppa Pig, Daddy Pig. But if there's a pro player that wants to be called Daddy, just do not do that.
I'm gonna stop you there. I'm gonna stop you there.
Just don't do that. Because it's just not a good idea.
As you keep talking about, God knows what you're all about.
6-2.
Dora, you have to give credit to him. Said, you know, the lone guy had to make that flank work for him. Big map, lot of staircases. You could see that the cover wasn't there. You know, Gen.G had no idea he was in towards that top floor. Came down the staircase, picked off the player on the vertical. I think there was definitely a point where Gen.G could have stopped that plant and they could have got that diffuser down at least, but as soon as that kill happens upstairs, they got very fearful, thinking, oh, he's going to immediately run onto the vert and kill me while I'm planting, but I think he had enough time to go for it. But hey, it is what it is. It would have been then a very difficult hold nonetheless, because then you had those two players in sight, one player above, trying to hold the post plant. It's tricky for them, so. But again, Gen.G, they've still got so much breathing round, Fluke. They can allow one round to go to MACKO because it's still 6-2.
And I think that's the thing, is at some point you've always got to go to a tertiary site, right? And yeah, weirdly, the tertiary seems actually really, really solid for defenders, which is where we find ourselves now. Yep. How do you solve a problem when you have to get potentially directly onto it and above? Teams have gotten a really decent hold on towards the bunks and brief side, but was caught out early. Oh, they'll be frustrated that
he got shield broke. He couldn't sprint away.
Yep. Couldn't sprint away, but the C4 didn't kill them. And yeah, the Blackbeard's massively hurt. Now he's going to have to choose his battles, but probably prefers to still have that C4 in pocket. They have another 2, though. It is a game of explosives.
Also, if you notice that Akwi's got 2 impact grenades on the Valkyrie, and I think that's probably just to try and blow away the sense walls as they come up. I mean, I'm pretty sure Gen.G have shown us this stage on Laird that this is how they like to play the site, is using that sense.
It would give you, obviously, the great immediate counter towards it. The Blackbeard is back up and wherever haunts them, fully aware of the approach and almost use one of the impacts just to get the end of the Blackbeard there. There'd be no picking them back up from that. But there's so many different angles here. He's drawn a lot of attention. But you still need something else behind it, right? The castle's still there. The players are still sort of comfortable in these sort of box positions. Ghost takes a fraction of grenade damage at this point, but they're dug in, waiting for the pressure, waiting for the crossfires to be tenable. They're inside the site, though, Demo. Azok screams his way across. Is trying to hunt upwards through the roof to find a second as MACKO does just that. Hass is going to try and secure the plant, but Akwi stops it immediately. And there's Teb with the crossfire. You cannot just trust that they're not paying attention on this site time and time and time again. I'm losing it. 3 apiece. 30 seconds now for them to try and recollect the kit and now put that pressure on towards the verticality. They've moved off to a fresh location, but that is too watched. They tried to swing some shots on towards it, but the hard pings give the game away. Hey, another plant attempt, but this one is one out with the cover. There's the second player trying to stop the plant, trying to win the engagement. Can't, and
Azox.
somehow Azox does the undoable, wins the reverse vertical fight, and now Teb can only watch the 3 players disappear. Oh no,
Azox.
wait, Azox still going. Gen.G scream their way through MACKO's map.
Yeah, great work from Gen.G from start to finish. Looked really strong. That round was just on Azox. Yeah, he had to hit some crazy shots, all from vertical angles. He had to look up into those players, playing upstairs on the holes. He just had to win them. You can see the initial idea was to put as much pressure as they could using that Blackbeard. Blackbeard just took way too much damage from that C4. He's a low HP. He can't have that influence. And it was a little bit sketchy. Kind of thought, okay, maybe MACKO stabilized here, but no. Azox comes out, hits the shots. They get the diffuser down. Game over.
Well, game over for that, map over for that, and you and I, we're over for a moment as we'll throw it to a break before we're back with the desk.
Gen.G look really impressive and dominant on that first map in this important best-of-3 series. A very good series starting out for them. It wasn't even their own map pick. They really excel on these attack advances. Honestly, if I'm a MACKO player right now and I'm playing above Azox in general, I wouldn't even dare peeking him. How that last round turned out. 3 kills off the vertical. It just seems that they're thriving off the confidence I guess they're building up for themselves.
He was phenomenal, wasn't he, Azox, in that final round? And Gen.G generally were phenomenal at reading what MACKO were attacking and how they were going to attack, and having the right adaptations, having the right understanding of the win conditions, and then executing onto that. It was a very, very dominant defense half. And then some of the attacks were absolutely sublime. Leo, I know you loved this one, but also the very final round where Azox, they managed to make it work in a 3v3 scenario, and then Azox is like Superman, just fighting everybody. Yeah, it was so good. It really was.
The fact that he decided to not stay upstairs there and not challenge the guys on the vert by staying above, but going close to his diffuser to allow his teammate to plant, that was the right call. And committing to that, but executing it well, was the difference.
And this is part of where we're seeing Gen.G's progression. Is in reality, they're winning a lot of rounds, even some of the rounds that they shouldn't win. And they look like a coherent unit. They look like a team when they didn't. We spent most of the stage talking about how they were fractured. Now they're not. They're showing us some of their true potential, and it's great to see.
Yeah, I think the two biggest reasons for them, really battering MACKO here. First of all, there is no weak link, and there is clearly one in MACKO. I think we've seen it the entire stage. I have to say it then. Ghost was a rookie. He was highlighted because he was one of the rookies that needed to step up. We were waiting to see his progression towards the stage. It's okay to have a couple bad games at the beginning, but we've never seen that evolution. I don't remember a single game where I've seen him in positive, and he was 1-on-7 here in a critical game in the playoffs.
He's in the deep end, and he's not even floating right now. That's the problem.
That's a first thing, and then the second thing is on the other side, you see a Gen.G that can read, like you said, MACKO very well. MACKO is extremely predictable, and they don't adapt. What was the reason for the 7-1 loss against Virtus Pro on the same map 1 week ago? They stayed 3 minutes in front of one doorway on the bumps bomb site.
Same kind
because no one is able to make some adaptation calls. No one is rotating like as did in that last round. So we see the difference right now in terms of both caliber of the players, but also in terms of adaptation and maturity.
And there's another difference we're really seeing that you talked about how defensive favored it was for Gen.G, but once they got on their attacks, it was a really satisfying round 7 that we got to see as well.
Honestly, that one was like the pinnacle of what I love to see from Gen.G. 4v4, 30 seconds left. Defense should win this. The nade makes that guy move with a stance. Second nade will do that. Second nade with the sense wall, getting triggered, pre-fire here, gets you the opening. Now that sense wall cuts the bomb site in half. That enables the diffuser to go plant and the Blackbird to then be in a position where he can cover his plant with more grenades and with his cover here and a solo window. Honestly, that attack, super clean, something easy to do by the way. You just need one guy on solo window on the other side and a sense wall, and it's perfectly executed. Something to reuse in ranked as well.
As analysts, we always look for key things when we love a play. There's always a 3-2-1. There's a 3-2-1. There's always great utility, and there's always the team play. That's exactly what happened in that execution.
And speaking of that utility, I mean, this might be a hot take, but I feel like we don't see as many sense takes anymore as we used to maybe like 1 or 2 stages ago. I always love seeing them and the takes you can do with them, but it feels like there's less.
Yeah, there's a couple of trains of thoughts here. Lots of teams are running impacts in terms of the impact grenades for the defenses, so you can get rid of the sense walls quite easily, but that kind of is offset by the fact that Warden cannot see through the wall. So yeah, sense is certainly not great, and especially on some of the bomb sites on Lair, particularly, I feel like that map, sense seems to get used quite a lot. But yeah, it's great for the teams that love and execute, I would say.
It's only execute heavy, so you don't use it for room clears, that's why you don't see it as well.
Do you use it on Cafe?
Cafe will be a map where you can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
Especially on the basement.
True, yeah. I mean, I guess we're going to keep our eyes open for that because Cafe is going to be the second map in the series, and we'll be back after this.
Easy, teammate.
Oh, Jesus. Nice. All right, listen. There's a few guys left.
I'm going to entry. You're with me. I need you to stay on cams and support us if we need.
Got it.
All right, with me. Clear. 3, 2, 1. Cover me. Jack. One on the right. Oh, shit. No, call! Get off your cams. We need help. Fucking Alamo. Take the case. Go on without me.
Shut the fuck up, Jack. What?
Is he okay?
I've been worse.
We're just about to go into the second map of Gen.G and MACKO, but before we do that, we want to remind you of something that came out yesterday on the R6 Esports website. We're talking about the Competition Hub, and this is the place for all viewers, all aspiring pro players, the one place to find all the information about Tier 2 competitions, and for the future as well, talking about Tier 3 competitions. Now, why is it important for this game? Because when we look back in history, just recently, MACKO have found themselves in those tier 2 competitions as well. They were the ones battling through those tensions, quite literally, to make their way into Europe Mini League. They now find themselves on the branch of trying to go into their first international tournament. It's going to be absolutely huge for them. Gen.G, similar story. We have seen these players' names in many tier 2 competitions, many grassroots tournaments. They're going up against each other now. Cafe is going to be the next map. What are we expecting?
Well, looking at Cafe especially, it's been a map that Gen.G absolutely love. And they're going to stay here. They're going to start in attack. And that's key for me because we've seen in a long, long time that Cafe was extremely defender-sided. But we've seen a Gen.G that impressed us here in late rounds on attack on lair. But on Cafe especially, they won 7-1 against Wolf. 5 of those rounds were in attack. Same thing, 3 rounds won in attack against Fnatic.
And if Gen.G have a successful attack half, it will put so much pressure on MACKO, who are already one map down, already facing elimination, already facing coming out of this whole playoffs bracket with nothing.
So the first half is really going to tell us a lot then, given that Gen.G are in fact starting out on the attack as well. There is so much on the line for this matchup. The winner gets to play their first international event, gets SI points. The loser gets absolutely nothing, so the stakes are high. It's time to send it back to Fluke and Demo.
Ring, ring. The stakes are calling, and they just got even higher, Demo. I think it's time for us to try and throw ourselves in towards Cafe. And we see who can be the one that comes out well done, and who's the one that unfortunately goes rare.
I didn't know you were a butcher.
I've got many skills. Many skills, many different things that I can do. Actually, cooking, terrible at it. Maybe the worst cook on the EML team. Actually, can Pengu cook?
You do know who you're casting with.
Yeah. All right. Okay, I'm better than you. I've cut a vegetable in my life. That means by default I've done more than you have. Yeah, I feel like Leo would make some delicious vegetarian goodiness.
I tried cooking once, to be fair.
How'd it go?
Didn't end well.
That was what happened to your old duo.
I'm actually gonna send you a photo of the time I tried to make a pizza.
What do you? Okay, how do you mess up a pizza?
Well, just bear with me.
You realize we're casting an Italian team?
Yeah, do not show them this. Whatever you do.
I don't want you to die.
Because it's not good. Let's put it that way.
As you go to sharing me this image, I will go towards the future. Did you? Yes, you did. I'll look to... What is... Okay. What is that? What is that?
Pizza I made.
That's not pizza in any language that I know it is, mate.
Oh, it is.
All right, well, I need to try and blur that from my mind, and I think the best way of doing that is to get into some intense Rainbow Six Siege on Dostoevsky. Now, it was pointed out that Gen.G, obviously, they're starting on their attack here, but they also are the only team of these two that has a recent play on this. Yes, MACKO have played it before. They're 1-on-1 over the past year, and they've got an okay defense on it, but it's been sort of put into the sidelines for a while. They haven't immediately thrown themselves in towards it. Demo, it's, you know, a lower preference map. I think it's the fairest way of putting it. It's not that they always ban it or it gets banned against them seemingly. It just hasn't really found its way into the recent threshold for them.
Yeah, and I think for Gen.G, they played against Wolves this stage, and I thought they looked really good. So it's a map that Gen.G are comfortable on. Yeah, I think this is going to favor them massively because, again, it's their map pick. So MACKO, they're the team that we have to look at who need to get things off on the right foot. So we head for our kitchen defense right from the rip for MACKO, and now kitchen has always been a bomb site that I have been somewhat frustrated with the way that teams have kind of played it. A lot of teams are kind of ignoring that VIP player. We've seen them get punished massively because of that. So I think for Gen.G, we'll see what approach they want to go with. They do have a Capital as their main execute operator. But that's really it. They prioritize operators such as the IQ, mostly because Valkyrie's open and it is a map like Cafe, where very common operator that you would see on this map. But no Valkyrie, though, on the side of MACKO, so you won't get much value out of the IQ, if any.
Talking of value, it's currently just time. This seems to be the driving force here of Gen.G. Very quick to make sure that they can get the control of this verticality. There hasn't been any whiff of a fight that MACKO want to put in back just yet. And you can see a Goyo canister has popped down on the site. They've got the Gon 6 to try and maybe catch another one, but it's Kivas, it's smokes, it's clash, and it's trying to hold the back line and potentially lob things in. But at what point do MACKO think that maybe they should try and pay some keen awareness towards it? There's obviously the watch from down here on Christmas. And we get the start of the coverage. The wall itself is a bit too solid. They can't see any utility. They need to immediately get dropped. There's the first, and there's a man who can see right through it. Easy enough for Actually to pull that together. Actually, even though it was Dora that sprayed it, probably just called out the position. There's the grenade. Actually gets the second, the clash, making work happen. I wonder where that shield is. Oh no, I don't need to wonder where Dora is. Gone and knocked out. There's the shield. And there's Ghost gone as well. They just sort of fell right into Clash's plan. Ooh, missed the first engagement, but both of them are in a box. There's a retake around the position of bottom white as well, so they're going to get caught from there. Ghost gets the last.
Yeah, and team's just not going for VIP. I mean, that Capithau just dropped in and was getting sprayed by the Warden and also the Clash, which they don't know about the Clash, by the way. I mean, if Clash is in that position, one Capithau bolt is all that you need. You've got vertical angles onto that position. I don't know. Very, very surprising there for Gen.G that they just couldn't deal with what they had. Should have been a pretty easy solution to clearing out that shield. You know, we've seen that shield in that position before. I think it was Fnatic. Was it Grubby, I think, played it at one point during this stage, and he was able to get kills from it, but we kind of fought and kind of looked at it and said, how though? You know, surely if you know the Clash is in that corner, he's going to be trapped in there. I don't know why they're not just firing him out. You have the Capithau for that reason. But again, Capithau just dropped into freezer, knowing that there's a guy in VIP and it happened to be the Warden, can see through those smokes. It's just, yeah, I don't know.
Well, it was also the fact, obviously, the Warden wasn't even the one that got the kill, but they can call it perfectly. They don't need to be the one to get the kill, especially if you have a Clash that's already aimed. You know where that hatch is. You know that they've got to fall for a period of time. You know that the change on how they can hold their sort of, you know, fire line and what they can actually do whilst falling. It doesn't take a mathematician to piece together 2 + 2 equals I'm going to press left click now. False start a bit for Gen.G, but let's see if they can try and apply the pace elsewhere. MACKO, what they don't have, which they did on the previous site, is as much free time, really. Obviously, the way that they played that was pretty standard. They handed over the top 2 floors, pulled themselves back, and then waited for the drop to come. Here, they're going to be forced out of positions or attempted to be very quick. And you can see that Gen.G already has a read on somebody hanging around these sort of corner windows on Whiskey, ready for potentially putting some pressure back on. It's a long run route back. But this Whiskey position of Teb, high risk, will it net high reward?
I got you!
No.
Oh dear.
Oh yes, even. I thought they had it, but no! There's the C4 on the window. They had no idea Teb was there.
Rookie mistake, not doing the drone work well. Oh, he's been made at the white swing the window, and Ghost has taken him down. Beautiful for MACKO. Teb somehow gets out of there unscathed as well. Yeah, this round is cooked. There's no way that Gen.G are going to break down a 3v5 on this top floor whenever you've still got so much util that you have to burn your way through. You've got that Clash bearing you down. Yeah, all MACKO need to do is sit in their hands.
Tragic start from a single sneaky little position. To be fair, Teb has been brilliant throughout the season. Deadshot does get at least Ghost. They've pushed themselves close to the Clash, but there's a rotate coming underneath them. Just breaks their way through the shield, but they do get the trade out, so the player's still standing. Oh no, they're not. There goes the end of them. I think the rotate round from underneath was potentially cancelled. Yep, they pulled themselves back towards white. They have the cross angle now. They can put the track in and move a little bit closer on the divide. The Long fight is slowly being pushed towards it. They've gotten to a risky deep position. They don't quite know which way they want to swing. There's the pressure right this time, but the Azami wins it out. Dora gets the next.
Yep, easy cleanup as expected. Just that top floor with not having the man advantage is so difficult for them. So yeah, good job, MACKO. Just one simple misthrow, and it causes that many issues. So Gen.G need to get their head in the game. They looked really good on Lair. You know, we couldn't really bash their fundamentals. Fundamentals were excellent, but not seeing that same level here on Cafe. But we'll see if they can still bounce back. I mean, it is, of course, their attacking half. And if we actually look back and see whenever they have played Cafe throughout this stage, again, I referenced the Wolves game, for example, and they took a 7-1. They were able to go 5-1 up on the attacks, and they only just had to win 2 in the defense. I still think Gen.G, we didn't really get to see a massive amount of their defensive capabilities, but we know for a fact that they can do that because I'm pretty sure they had 4 defensive wins against Fnatic whenever they played them. That was much closer for a 7-4. So again, Gen.G, I think they've proven this stage that they can attack and defend Cafe. So maybe they're just having a bit of a slow start here in the attacks.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of total read of it over the past 2 times they've played it, a 38% success on their attack, a 61 on their defense, but it is Cafe. It works very well for defenders that sort of enjoy how to play this site. We know that they're a team that likes to pull themselves back and can sort of knock things down at the final line. And they're massively scared. The 2-4 is the standard split here, but even a 1-5, I think they should be okay, as long as they don't get onto that 6th quite early. Still, the problem here, more than anything, is that MACKO have built up that momentum, that energy. MACKO, who are a bit lost in the sort of forest before, are about to be immediately barricaded and knocked into. Oh no, the C4 from Dora catches the shield. What's plan B? Keep pushing, pushing, pushing. Hope you can find the fight. You can't. Dora gets 2. This is his train. Stop trying to take it from him. You haven't got the right ticket.
Well, another round that Gen.G have just thrown down the toilet. That round, again, just like last time, is as good as done. MACKO don't need to do anything. They've got those first 2 picks. Just sit in their hands. Don't allow Gen.G to get back into this round. There's a little swing as well for MACKO. Somehow gets away with that. Criminal. Absolutely criminal. Well, there's Lolo gone, but still, 2v4, just nothing. So, yeah, again, look, you've went for the rush. MACKO just cleaned in on it. Some excellent shots, though, being hit from Dora. That great follow-up shot onto the player who pushed him in free train. Brilliant gun skill, so yeah, have to give credit to him. Dora single-handedly saving that round, didn't allow them into the bomb set. He did his job well as that site player. But it just felt like a bit of a lash-out round, though, from Gen.G. You know, things aren't going well, and they thought, oh, well, we'll just try this and hope it works.
I think, you know, it's frustrating because we know what they're capable of. And yeah, okay, the C4 on the Blitz, it was either good prediction or it was a sort of lucky moment, right, for the defender in that sort of swing and that sort of risky position. But under the same sort of argument, you are just throwing yourself towards it. You know you're a team that can do these great structured takes, and you know MACKO are a team that's going to build off the back of this. They're going to find more energy. Now as Asa goes down, the 1 versus, okay, the nobody versus 4. You can see Dora's got the hype. They've got the heat in them. This is what MACKO do. They
yep,
grab it and ride it. The dragon is loose.
Obviously yesterday for MACKO, yes, they lost 2-0 against Falcons, but one thing that we did commend them for was the way that they can turn games around with just their energy. Last map, we didn't see that at all. Last map, it may as well have been just 5 ghouls sitting just in the seats. There's no emotion, nothing. But now we're seeing them be a little bit more vocal. They're actually getting things going. They're getting the vibes up. That's where MACKO are at their best. They didn't bring that during the first map. Now they're bringing it in the second map. That's exactly what they need to get themselves back into this series.
Just quick swing round. It feels like Gen.G's guns haven't quite been turned on yet. They're still using the rubber bullets. MACKO, just sharper, just quicker, more tuned in. And I guess it's the idea that the stakes are up, right? This is do or die. And they don't want to die just yet. There is nothing for losing this series. You will just fall out of any possibility of any positive of playing all these best of threes, of playing the season. You may as well, as put before, have just relaxed. And nobody wants that. And they're earning the fight and earning the position, but regardless of how well earned it is, somebody has to lose, Demo. And MACKO,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, but it's like a if you're not first, you're last.
Genius.
If you're not fifth, you're last. Nobody wants to be sixth. Anyway, that's enough of pearls of wisdoms from me and my deep archaic knowledge. We'll see if they.
I see a panic Monty, I think.
Is this the pick on the panic Monty? The Clash is gone.
Gotta be.
The Deimos as well, and yeah, the panic Monty is the first in. And I mean, at this position, being this sort of built up, it shows the confidence. It's not uncommon to have obviously the keeper barricades to set up the full stretch, but you can see Teb really actually wants to hang around an extra step, covers their own route out, wasting time, drawing attention, but the Monty is working for now. However, what happens if the Monty dies? That's that sort of trade-off, the panic Monty. You still need kills on the back of it.
Yeah, well, the panic Monty, again, it's been brought out just because Gen.G are struggling to really get a foothold inside of the map. And if you have that Monty, it will be able just to be that human drone that, again, that nobody can really touch on the defense. But like you mentioned, if you're bringing in the Monty, you need to hope that your other teammates will be able to get the kills playing off the info with the Monty, which they have done pretty well. A nice pinch on the Ghost and takes him down. There is still, again, this roamer all the way in towards that basement, but I don't know if Dora is really going to be able to do much, though, because it's also he has a C4 that he can maybe try and go below if they try and force their way in through Fireplace, maybe, but... And I think maybe the retake could be coming in, though, from MACKO just based on their positionings, but 45 seconds left. It may be a little bit too early before thinking about going for a retake. And Gen.G, I mean, they haven't really put much pressure on the bomb site. They're only just doing so with getting the sledge in and about. Now Lawler's going to look to try and see if he can slip up in through the red stairs, and the track stingers have been placed woefully. And oh, never mind, there's another set at the top floor, and if he shoots them, then he will be heard. And I hope he's going to be heard.
Well,
that's a big risk.
There's one player that's still watching. Nako's going to go for the plant now, and Asa does get caught. Oh, Deb! Gave them out a haircut. Sprints up to the Monty, gets the kill, looks for the vertical, a 3 versus 1. Now, they'd already started the retake, but they hold off. Push together. They've got time, so much time. Azox almost has to play this as a ring around the rosies, suffers a bit from underneath pillar, suffers a bit on the narrow angle. They've rotated themselves on towards Freezer. 26 seconds. They need to get the kill within the next 10. And they definitely do. A quad kill for Teb. And what a way to just strong arm that round.
Yeah, great retake. Latin Plant, you're going to have that man advantage. You just wait, take your time. Double flank got white. 45 seconds is a massive amount to have extra in the bank to go for that retake. Yeah, simple work. Just it's not clicking for Gen.G. This cafe is going really wrong for them. It's a complete, kind of flip from where we were in the last map to where we are now. Obviously, you look at Gen.G, and the Gen.G that we've seen that were great at doing the basics right have just been thrown out the window. They're losing that opening engagement a lot. Again, the basic core fundamentals, like even I kind of hark back to their kitchen that they had to try and attack. Not going in for the VIP clear. Obviously, you look in towards the top floor. They've, you know, missed drone, for example, inside of piano, something so simple.
10 seconds.
Just anything that can kind of go wrong for Gen.G is going wrong.
5 seconds left.
It's kind of, I guess, the question of, yeah, it's a tale of two halves. And yeah, I said they won a 5-1, but not like this. There still needs to be some contest in the rounds. MACKO, they're dropping bodies here and there. They're not entirely flawless, but they're never pressured. They're never in that sweat, do or die moment. They have time to think, and time to think is time to plan, and time to plan is time to win. They are pacing themselves absolutely perfectly. And every time it feels like Gen.G have an upper hand, it's only really because MACKO have let them. They're not overextending, they're getting into these positions and doing things like that, dropping out MACKO, and then they're free to just pull back at their own leisure. They're just roaming and enjoying and free range.
Yep. They're floating around the map, just not a care in the world. Gen.G just consistently losing that opening engagement. I'm thinking about like Cafe, where it is a little bit more kill orientated. You're gonna have to get stuck in and get messy a lot of the time. Again, hard breaching isn't a necessity. Certainly not from what we've seen on a map like Lair. This is a kind of flip off it. So you need to be able to get stuck in and have that play style where you can play pretty loose and can just go, you know, from 0 to 100 on just the flick of a switch. I'm just not seeing that from Gen.G. It just seems like a very slow-paced Cafe. They're not trading each other. They're just moving in one by one. Again, we sit at another position where we've still got half the round to play, and they've lost 2 players and have not done anything. I mean, the only way that they're killing MACKO is whenever Teb is going for the most outrageous jump outs that he was never going to kill anyone and just gets a freebie. This is where we are right now. It's that MACKO have to sacrifice themselves to give them kills.
That was, you know, it was free, and Teb went out there to do that. Also added the C4 just for good measure. But 50 seconds, they get their way towards the top of Lumber. There's some pressure on towards the back of the site, but it's explosives at door on either side, and that will force the player slightly further back. They're hoping to get a kill on the side of it. NASA does get Acqui, which does level things up, but just takes a moment for the fight to fall away from them. They are entirely stacked up on the cocktail side with 30 seconds. Skies gets one. There's the cross on towards the Blackbeard, though, and it puts Ghost in a tricky situation. But now, Skies and Asta, they need to swing in. They need to try and get the plant secured. One on the bottom of White, the other one on towards Heaven, and it's round the corner. Round we go. There's Skies getting one more. How many times has he been a big player? But it's Asta that gets the last one. Gen.G finally find some success after what felt like an unending drought.
Yeah, MACKO just swinging for no reason and losing their heads. Wouldn't say that Gen.G did much to put pressure on those players. They just got a little bit overconfident maybe and have gifted them their first round. So that is a bit of a shock. Again, does it hark back to Teb going for that run out that he was never going to kill anyone from anyway? Little moments like that, you could argue.
I mean, no, you don't even need to argue.
Does he need to go for this?
Point at it. The fact that there was obviously an instant sort of response to it. The fact that there was, what, a minute 10 left on. Not sure if he was actively being hunted down the bottom of that corner, and that's why he went, oh, they're going to kill me at tables. I may as well just go outside and see if I can net a freebie whilst I'm at it. Or if him getting there revealed his position and he didn't know anyone was around him. Either way, it's a gamble that just didn't pay off in any manner. And especially because you have a C4, you know they're going to be planning on the top. You've got time to waste. You've got time to use it and lose it. MACKO just getting a bit silly. And it buys Gen.G around. Will it cost them? I don't know. It was obviously a quick sort of half as the opening half of the last map, and we saw how that ended up. MACKO might be just about to return the favor.
Gen.G have one last attack. I'm sure they'll be they'll be happy to see. And who knows, they maybe could pull it back into a 4-2, and all of a sudden, it's doable at that stage. Certainly fighting back from a 4-2 compared to a 5-1 is a lot easier and more delightful in the eyes. But some of these players need to step up. I mean, Asa, the only one positive on his team. Azox 1, MACKO 2, Deadshot 1, Skies 2. It's not favorable stats, whereas everyone on MACKO, they're flying high, all positive right now. So Gen.G need to try and awake themselves and get us back on that horse.
Now, last time, we've obviously seen the pressure down here. They sort of were quick towards the punch, and then things petered out because they hadn't done the clearing work. They hadn't got rid of the Christmas corner. They hadn't got rid of any of the position of the clash, which, yeah, they didn't have to deal with. Oh, that is a classic claw. Oh. I have not seen that one in a while. Apparently neither of Gen.G.
It's right. You. Oh, it's faster. It's fine. It's fine. That'll get it. But don't worry. Look, EMP will get it. Look. See it, but it doesn't matter. They get it open. Oh, it's frozen. Never mind. Abort.
He's seen it. They got it. I mean,
Device is going dark.
that would, I mean, I haven't seen that in ranked in like 2 years.
That was like a really bad Where's Wally, wasn't it?
It's just, it was a very fun claw that people did for a period of time, and then everyone learnt it, and it was very easy to remove. But hey, it bought them extra time demo, and that in its own way is important here. They're trying to still put pressure on, but look at the time. It's a 5 versus 4, sure, but there's 20 seconds. The roll of the RAUs roll out. They've still got the pressure on towards the site. Not sure if they're confident going down. Not sure if they want to try and take the pressure immediately on, but Ghost does get executed. Dora bites back. MACKO's gone. 5 seconds. The kid's cold in the site. Azox finds another fine, but they've still got to try and put it together, and they just can't do it.
Oh, I mean, a lot of time just wasted on that tub and that Cade and figuring out where it was. So obviously that ate up a lot of the execute time that Gen.G would have wanted. And again, over MACKO, you still got a few C4s kicking about. Yeah, just Gen.G just seemed to little bit of kind of scramble almost, where I mean it happens, doesn't it? So whenever that timer starts really starting to tick down, just people start throwing themselves into the bomb site almost to make themselves look as though they're busy a little bit. You know, it's like you're bunking off in your job, then the boss comes in, quick, do something, make yourself look busy. That's kind of what it was like with the timer.
It was just, yeah, I don't. It's always tricky to look at a moment like that because you know what you're up against, and we sort of not described it as the direct win con, but it was very similar to the first time round. They tried to make it happen again. There was a different hold slightly. There was the claws that played out. There was the extension of time and the Tuberal fine. But still, even amongst that, you still hit the same problems. You still hadn't solved the sort of major outlying issue, which was dealing with either the position of the player inside Christmas or putting pressure elsewhere.
It's been the story of the stage. It's been that position. Just nobody seems to go near it anymore. I might start a petition, start a protest.
How do you clear it? What's your best demo? Quick.
Just bring a Grim, nade him out. Simple.
Bring a Grim, nade him out.
Attackers are moving
What about the
out to
classic
locate a bomb and defuse it.
Flores?
I mean, Flores is alright if he's got the shield, but it's, I don't know. I think it's.
I like
it's very rare that you'd see the shield though these days. It's usually like a Goyo just dry holding it. Yeah.
It's
maybe
a
a bit of bar
dry holding,
that's it.
or it's a Warden sat waiting for a smoke drop. But it's just one of the two. They like to keep it active and just spray through it. Well, 5-1. Gen.G have their work cut out for them, and in echoes of the past. We have what is another 5-to-1 half for the defenders. Last time the divide was a little bit too far. This time, MACKO, they're the ones that have the joy of sweeping onto their attack, and they only found one success when they were last attacking. They know they've got to try and lock one in, maybe even the first. There's a way of stopping at least some of the attention, but the smoke canister still goes through. They're in, they're off to the races, and they're just going to cover themselves with the canisters. There's at least one player to try and stop it, but the Kai doesn't immediately go for the fight itself. It's a C4 over the top, and then they get out of there. Good idea. Just the ROU, I mean, not the ROU even, they were able to get the wall up. They do get a kill on the back of it. Can they still stick this demo?
Oh, the door's opened up, and no, the warden almost gets taken up by Dora. Still alive, but Dora's not. Any C4s? None left at all, so it's just going to have to be down to guns for Gen.G. Lolo is actually going to try and see if he can nade out the players going for the defuse, but they're just going to try and stick him. The nade's missed. Oh, Nako no gets off where he could have stuck that defuse. Trust his teammates. And Teb, where's he going to go? He tries to cook a nade as well. That's going to be no good to him. Oh, will he just about get it over the line? I mean, he could have stuck it. Would have made things a lot easier, but still, round win for Gen.G.
Okay, I mean, I don't hate the approach. I liked the use of the walls. It's surprising now to still see Raura making these quick plays. And MACKO are a team that have brought Raura. They've explored options with her. They've brought new ideas, which we always love to see. But they almost suffered from success. Obviously, the blitz screamed around the corner, didn't see anyone immediately, then saw the Kaid that was sort of going from coffee to sink. Didn't really know whether they wanted to entirely throw themselves in case they got cross-peaked, fine. But then you cut away and you see that the Raura is busy just putting up other walls and doors. And you're like, either they needed the Raura to try and help, or they needed a third person. And I'm not sure where that third person was supposed to be to operate behind the blitz, to just add that gun, add that threat without needing to be within punching range. By the way, Gen.G technically ends with a close down. They win the round. Great, they can build on the back of it. But MACKO weren't a million miles away. Only the distance of about 10 seconds, really.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
Loading mag! New camera feed up and running.
Oh, is that the start of the comeback? Always the first round is the most difficult. And, well, Gen.G have been able to do so. Now they will move into their mid-floor hold now. And they're bringing in a pretty strong operator to hold, of course, that top floor being that mirror. So that's going to be the thing that MACKO need to try and deal with. And, well, they've got counters to it. They've got, obviously, the Ash as being that main source of breaking the window on the mirror window. And if needed as well, you've still got the Hibana used as that ranged hard destruction on those reinforced walls that said mirror window will be placed on. For Gen.G, they are leaning into a little bit of everything. You've got the drone denial, bringing in the Mozzie, of course, who is actually very, very good for denying access, as most drones will come in down through Skylight, which I believe has got a Mozzie pest on Skylight for that very reason, and then also in for the hatches. So it is very easy to really grab drones and deny that access. As you can see, he's just grabbed the drone. And then they also still got the info. You've got the Valkyrie coming in, and again, I've mentioned it before, Cafe, great map for, plenty of opportunities for C4s from downstairs. It almost forces Akwi now to have to bring in that IQ, and he has to play that operator. And yeah, we'll see how MACKO want to deal with these mirror windows, as I had mentioned previously.
Changing mags.
Ready for the pressure on towards the mirror windows. We talked about how they were such a great extension and how they can be removed quite easily. And there's one gone. Bit of a run out. Another body dropped here. MACKO, they're falling all around you. There's another Gen.G. They've been able to find their stride here. And it's a 5 versus 2 at this point, and you see what's been removed and what is left to do. Fine, Teb and Ghost can kill. But Teb now has to do it with half their health and without Ghost as well. Just Teb left. Nako takes a sort of damage, but look at them flooding demo. Gen.G know what they want to do, and it's just to get the round done.
They're starting to rally. And the vibes on the side of MACKO don't seem as strong as what they were. It feels as though this is a big round, though.
Yeah.
Going into it, where you've got the defense, Gen.G, who have won 2 in a row. We always like to say, okay, the third bomb site is where what it really comes down to, and how well you can defend that tertiary bomb site. It's just a massive round in the grand scheme of things. If Gen.G take that, they have swept all 3 bomb sites, and then that sets them up nicely to go for another full rotate. On the side of MACKO, if they get this round, they go match point, they have a massive buffer zone. You would expect then eventually they'll be able to close it out at that time. So it's very, very important that MACKO get this round and try and deny this momentum that Gen.G have built.
At this point, the momentum is paused, the timeout happens, and well, MACKO, they know that they just need to sort of keep themselves those step ahead. They've suffered a 1-5 attack half today already. They do not want to go to OT because I presume they will be on their attack first time round. And that is seemingly a death knell in the games today. Just same sort of problems. It's really been tales of 2 different teams across the 2 different sides and halves so far. And Gen.G, as I said, you know, if they can get this first 3 rotation, right, they get themselves within touching distance of rounds. Yeah, traded rounds would be an eventual end for them, but making it happen, especially before the bans, is that important factor, and seems to be the factor that maybe MACKO wants to talk about what was piecing away from them. The approach is sort of the same.
5 seconds left.
Control of the rotations, control of the information, the IQ to get rid of the Valkyries, get rid of the cams. It was obviously being read in some manners towards them as Gen.G stepped up in towards the fight, but you then have to look across Gen.G, right? You're missing Deadshot from these sort of arguments and gun games. You're missing Skies as well. We know how massive they've been for this roster. Asa doing everything to keep the team brawling.
So here we go. MACKO, what will they do differently? In terms of the lineup, nothing too crazy. Again, all fairly standard and basic operators. I wouldn't say that they have one that is going to have the massive pack-a-punch factor where you could just turn a bomb site on its head. This seems to be a much more util-focused lineup where you're bringing in plenty of secondary gadgets. You've got the flashbangs, you've got the nades. Also, a good amount of denial for the jump outs. You've got the claymores on the Ash, and then also you've got the Nomad bringing the air jab. So windows are going to be on the cards here. Seeing if they can try and pick off some of these Gen.G players at range. We've currently got 2 players holding that top floor, being MACKO and also Skies. But I wouldn't say that they're there necessarily to get the kills. It's just more for that added pressure, we'll say, and try and deny MACKO that ease of access into Piano, but they haven't really done that all too well, as MACKO is deep inside of Piano, but takes quite a few damage there from those feet holes that had been made, and now he's panicking and starting to walk his way down White Corridor, but this is where the 2 remaining players are, upstairs.
Frag grenade out.
Throwing frag!
They're looking for the pressure on towards the back of Cocktail, but it's sprayed back and forth. Skies does find Akwi. MACKO goes down in the meantime, though, so he should be picked up eventually. How much time he wastes as they try and clear him with utility? Not entirely sure, but for a dead man, he's doing a great job at slowing down this approach. They're worried that someone else might swing onto them as well. There's some cover onto Pillar. They want to just try and transition their way across, but as Dora finds MACKO, finally it's put out of their misery and they can focus a little bit further forward.
But they've wasted a lot of time. You know, MACKO and Skies have been able to also drop down. And that also takes a position inside of Radiant alongside his teammates. And oh, Tab is not in a good position. These F-Nats are just constantly going off, and that's going to be enough to get that kill. Skies for a double in the round, and still alive, still posing a threat. Does not looking good for MACKO. However, Dora does get one back.
Well, there's the C4 on towards Lolo, and now the blind on towards the plant position. They're trying to just swing around, put the pressure on, and Azox pushes it right back out. 3 versus nobody as Skies. I called it at the start. I'm like, he's been a bit quiet, and then he's like, we. And then he, whatever the translation of French is, I've killed a lot of people.
If only we had someone we knew who spoke French and English and could translate that. I miss the Leo segment where he come in after the Gen.G time. I missed that.
Should we just call him in to ask for French phrases?
You can't just summon him like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Hey, Leo, hey. He actually, you know how we made a joke at the very beginning of this map about cooking? I say a joke. It was like for some people, it was a horror story. When I saw what you'd done to that poor bread. Sorry, a pizza. You made a pizza. Then he instantly sent me a list of like vegetarian things he would cook, and I'm like, all of this sounds so good. I live on microwave meals. my body is in constant pain from cup ramen that I live on. I occasionally have a fruit.
Just the odd time. It's not 5 a day for you. It's just 1 a week.
Yeah. What's your favorite kind of apple?
Green.
Granny Smith. Sour one.
Sure.
Grey apple.
10 seconds left.
The doctor's not getting anywhere near you.
Nope.
5 seconds to go.
Down to the kitchen again. New bands demo Valkyrie, which means that MACKO don't have to feel like they need to bring IQ every single round, or at least focus their way back against it. Which, you know, to be fair, actually, they weren't really playing in towards that angle, and I guess there was almost the element of they were scared that the cameras would haunt them. They were in some regards. They doubled down for the last 2 rounds, and it's not comfortable with how they seemingly like to play. Ban the Valkyrie, get it gone, pull that away from Gen.G. Gen.G on the opposite end, get rid of the Grim.
This is actually quite clever from Gen.G, right? Play a boatload of Valkyrie, make it so the team has to ban Valkyrie, so then it frees them up. They don't have to play IQ. And then whip out the Echo. I think that's very, very clever from them, because now they can't find the Echo cams, and we know what Echo can do on this bomb site, especially whenever it is going to be quite a prolonged attack, because we see the defense lineup. They've got the Goyos in to waste even more time, and then hopefully the Yokai drones will just win it downright in the final few seconds off the round. But MACKO are not going traditional. They're not going for the freezer take where you want to go above and do the vertical. They're going for a bakery. Now, using the Aurora is very, very smart for this take, because it blocks off this main winning double door. Deadshot has went for the wide swing and actually been punished by that DMR, who again can just slowly patrol that Aurora and just keep it shut whenever his team needs to. And all that's going to do is just stop any kind of flank maneuver coming in from Wedding. Very, very smart play, I think, for MACKO right now. I'm liking it.
Well, this is the aggressive retake here. The C4 over the top combined with the Echo drone, it does the job, but it's a big utility. Now they have the vertical, though. We're above you. And putting pressure on Azox, who's still able to get... Oh, there's the kills. It's dropped out, MACKO. Slipped through the fingers. Now, the smoke grenades will get put together, and Ghost is watching the long route round the red stairs. There's no getting the angle from there. Oh, a breath away from death. Oh no. But they still had the verticality, and now the 1 versus 1. Where will you go? That's the risk. It's a fight on towards long. Teb has positioned himself perfectly here.
Pulse, yeah.
And he knows exactly where it's coming from. Yep. Easy pickup at the end. That man exploded into smoke.
He's a magician. Disappeared.
Oh my god, he's not dead.
Yeah, I think that was a really good decision there for MACKO. You've lost that player above. You know there's going to be defenders on the vertical angles. Run deep. Run into the other bomb site. Run into the point where there isn't any vertical angles holding you. And that's what Teb did. He moved in. He got that plant down. The cover was sufficient. Lovely reposition as well in that 1v1, knowing that he's either going to come down from one of the staircases. Position yourself in towards Whiskey Bar, and you can just sit and hold all of the staircases. You know he has to drop through one of them, so yeah. Great work from Teb, really good reposition. So MACKO, they went fast, they went aggressive, and it's paid off. It's good for 1, and it's got them now on match point, which is all important. It's got them out of that deadlock.
This is it. This is the 2-round difference now. We could be finding our way back into an OT or onto a map 3. Everything's squared away. We're back towards a best of 1, back towards 2 teams with everything to prove and only a single map to do it on.
10
Labs,
seconds
a map
remaining.
that we have seen quite a lot recently.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Truly, Labs and Cafe, I feel like 80% of my life over the
Attackers
past
are
like
heading out
month.
to defuse a bomb.
I don't know if I've just accidentally triggered like a flashback there and you like the PTSD of Labs and Cafe.
It's like I've got the helmet on from now.
Staring, loading into Nighthaven Labs again. I don't hate. I really enjoy the map, but
I enjoy Labs. Yeah.
We know where the meta is for these teams right now, and I'm excited to see where we go next. Is the politest way, because you always go next.
The way I look at it, if you look at the series, what map is Labs more similar to? Would it be Cafe or Lair? I'd say Lair.
Yeah.
So for that logic, you would expect Gen.G will have the better fundamentals for that style of map, whereas Cafe obviously leans a little bit more into the aggressive playstyle, which obviously suits MACKO really well.
Guys, just caught out there. Almost got caught on a sort of white window early, rotating down, but there was a player at the bottom of the stairs to just get them anyway. Deadshot suffers next. And now as Asa takes the next, it's just damage coming from all fronts. Forced out of position. And then caught by Ghost on the window. MACKO have just suddenly turned it up to 11 again. Now they have a bit of a backline here, but think about what's sort of been removed. The smoke canisters going out early. There goes another kill. There's a grenade kill. I mean, what's happened here, Gen.G? They've disappeared off the face of the earth in this final round. Nako's just gonna send it. Gets one, fine. He's about to hit an air jab. No, he's not, because he's dead. And we are going to be hurtling towards Labs.
That's correct. It's right down the middle. I obviously have heard, you know, the two analysts have agreeing thoughts, and I'm also going to agree with them.
Wow. You, Fresh, Alfama, all in agreement. What does that leave someone like me? I don't really care. I just want a good game of Siege.
I don't really care.
Listen, there's a winner and there's a loser. That happens. And what I want to see, selfishly, I think, is all 10 players giving it their absolutely all for 15 rounds. Is that too much to ask?
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, look, Labs is where we head to. I made the reference during the last map that is Labs more similar to a map like Lair or a map like Cafe? And depending on the outcome, you probably then see who you would like to favor. And I think it is going to be more similar to Lair, so I think Gen.G will have a much easier time going into this map. Look, MACKO played it yesterday. They were up against Falcons. It was an 8-6 loss. And again, you could have made a really good argument that, yeah, maybe MACKO could have won that map and pushed us into map 3, but it wasn't the case. So it's going to be a map that MACKO, they themselves are going to feel comfortable on, just based on how they played yesterday. But just after the way we've seen that Lair play out, and I just think with Gen.G, whenever it comes to a map like Labs, and if they just do their basic fundamentals right, which they've done so well on a map like Lair, I think they'll have a really good time here.
It's always that sort of argument, right? Is could they have won it? Would they have won it? They didn't win it yesterday. Yeah, sure, there was an ace clutch out, but the other weird metric that we have is both these teams went against G2 on Labs as well, and both of them lost it. Gen.G were able to pull 2 rounds in that showdown, and I think MACKO didn't deal a huge amount better. They got 4. So at this point, it's a nice MACKO map. They've been able to bring some game to it. They have that working in their favor. They're starting on their defense as well here. As they've also got that extra element. MACKO on the hunt. Loose out and underneath. He's about to find the first victim. And that's a nuke in the site with a body. What happens now?
mean, is
They've
anyone
lost
going
Acqui
to
as well
react?
on the top
Is
floor?
anyone going to react? Hello? Pep, he's in the site beside you. I mean, MACKO, is nobody home? Is nobody defending the bomb site? You just allowed a nuke just to solo walk his way through the labyrinth? I mean, yes, they're starting to pick up kills on the flank and trying to see if they can retake the bomb site, but really, the damage has been done. I mean, look how separated both of these defenders are from one another, and the last player still upstairs trying to make some holes in towards storage. Diffuser been picked up by the man who could do no wrong at the moment, being MACKO. He's also going to get a plant down for his statistics also. Yeah, Ghost. Again, this is what I've seen from him yesterday. I've seen this so many times against Falcons. He's upstairs letting his team die. He's a really bad habit for that.
We can pin that one down on. I mean, yeah. Where did the nuke enter from? I think we got to sort of take that down a little bit.
Did he go in through? I think he just came in down the staircase. He came in, yeah, I think. Did he come in through? No. I don't know.
Changing mag.
Keep our barrier up.
Because the first kill looked like
I need to get the VAR up.
They maybe came from vending down EXO. I don't think they came down cargo.
Razor wire in position.
That should have been, I don't know. I'm trying to assume that if they did the vending cargo, there'd be people around with an extended hole.
10 seconds to insertion.
With an extended sort of hole there. Someone around kitchen to pay it. I think there was an opening in the breach. I don't know. Either way, it happened. And now we're sort of picking up the pieces on the other side of it.
Swapping mag.
Gen.G. They get that first start. They get their first foot up, and they do what seemed very hard to do across the first two maps. The longer that they can go with success on the attack, especially with plays and moments like that, the better we find ourselves in. Now, at this point, with MACKO on their defense, with how defender-sided the showdown has been, and with the fact that I think that was an argument that the desk made towards who was going to win this, but apparently the information they were handed was wrong. Alfama and Fresh had of them anyway.
Yeah, I've done the VAR. Nope, just walked in through breach.
So there was
Just, yeah.
okay. That's mad. Finding opportunities through breach. It happens, and it absolutely devastated the first round. But also, there wasn't a MACKO response. You're right. Temp was sort of drifting around. There was players on the hatch. They've just tried to go for it again, but there's the Blackbeard to get the first. There's the removal of the mine, and they cut Teb in half. Frost gone. They have IT control. They have walkway. And now they're going to put some pressure onto Fish.
It's the basics. Again, Gen.G are doing it very, very well. Just go for the motions, get the main breach open. Okay, yes, now we move in towards a Rafters control. We have a shields. Let's now maybe operate towards Fish, which is where MACKO's going to start moving himself into position where he can start putting pressure on the other side, and he just kind of pinched them in a trap. Again, there is that clash that he will have to try and go up against, and they don't have really the greatest counter bar from the Nomad. Again, they're going to have to get into a spot, and this buck downstairs is actually get collapsed on by two. He's able to get one, but Lolo is there with the trade, but now that pulls two players out of position, and that allows Gen.G to get the green light to go into the bomb site.
Well, now putting the pressure onto this back position. Easy pick up there for MACKO. A 4 versus 2 becomes actually a down. It's a trade out, but they're going to see if they can stick the plant behind it. Nomad's just putting the pressure on. They have the cross, they have the plant, and Deadshot, well, you're probably not going to get picked back up. The Clash can make the divide passable. They still have to try and root their way around 4 kills. Can the Sledge get into IT? It seems like they're trying to. But if you pay attention, suddenly one down can turn into 2 kills, and it's just not worth it. The man is a bullet-filled camera. At this point, there's a trade out. Clash gone, leaves just Lolo. No, it doesn't. It might find us in a MACKO timeout, though, with how this game has started.
Yeah, not looking good for them. I think they're now getting into a similar situation where they were in Lair, where they're giving up that first pick, and then they just allow so much map control over to Gen.G. I mean, that was a fairly standard round for Gen.G in terms of how you attack that top floor. Get the breaches open, move over towards rafters, start looking for fish if possible. They made a really good call, though, where they seen that there was 2 players towards fish, leaving 1 guy in the site, flood that guy with the Blackbeard, get that kill. You have map control, you've got site control. Really simple for them. So Gen.G, good decision making again from them. MACKO struggling to get things going. So they need to really pick up the pace and get around on the board, or else, I mean, like Lair, almost like Cafe. I mean, both of these teams have shown that if one team has that edge and they're slowly, you know, getting rounds back to back to back to back, you blink and the map's done. The map's over.
10 seconds to insertion.
Well, back to back might be how we keep screaming our way onto this. I mean, Gen.G, led by the heroics of Ned.
Locate a bomb and defuse it.
Swapping mags!
And they've got to try and find a way to do it. They are going to keep rotating around the sites. They move themselves on towards the, you know, the vertical control here. They've still got the clash, still going to try and be a bit mobile, but losing out Teb quite early before to a bit of a smash and grab on the top. It almost reminds me of the compliments we paid to Gen.G before, when they would weigh things up and measure them. There is a bit of a trap of the Ella, ready to hit a Grismot, and then a swing round on anyone that tries to enter, but it's controlling the space for now. They make sure that if the pace is going to be kept going, that they are more than happy to be one of the ones with the driving force behind it. IT gets popped open, the players will fall back, but they still have the direct control and no direct coverage as of yet. Gen.G have sometimes thrown themselves into the site without really doing their due diligence. Doesn't seem to be the same MO here.
Yeah, just going through the motions. Good from Gen.G again, realizing, okay, what is the issue that we're going to have to deal with? Could be anyone inside the storage, so let's make sure we can ram above that and give ourselves an opening. So it does put players such as Lolo and Teb now in a precarious predicament where do they stay, do they go? Got that Nook on that crouch walk again. He's towards fishing game side of the map. Maybe go up the stairs and try and backstab some of these defenders top floor, but oh, that's not a good start though from Gen.G, as Lolo is completely cleaned the head off Skies. But there's that Nook, finds that pit on that roamer. But still MACKO holding their ground right now, but there's a blitz in the bomb site, and who's now quickly jumped out of it. Lolo could have had an opportunity, and speaking of Lolo, he's going to try and just almost headbutt the blitz, but he's going to send them back with that flash, and now it's a 3-on-3, and we don't really know where this round's going to go. It could be down to, again, this Nook. MACKO is now rotated up towards Fish, and maybe looking for this backstab onto that clash.
Sells back to 2-on-1 against the clash, 47 seconds, but Lolo had the cross dead shot caught out. They were baited into the fight by Dora, and I'll talk about how they utilized the clash up here in a moment, but let's get to the end of the round first. And there's the clash just still drawing out this Nook at this point. The blitz trying to push their way towards it. It's a tough fight to take, and they'll get dropped. They might get traded out. They do a scratch of damage. They're going to confirm their triple for the round, and 3 to find here, but the clash sort of gives the game away that we know where you are. Just pre-firing the pressured angles, 10 seconds, and at this point it's bullying. Somebody call somebody. There's a knock onto the clash, but no kills. So, the point I was going to make about the clash, when we saw things start to collapse, it was a great take above on IT. They threw the ram down, they put the air jab there, and that was to stop anyone swinging. MACKO realized this. They knew that it was going to be an attempted plant underneath, and they just sort of cleared that space. So what they did was send one person in to get hit by the air jab, so then the clash then followed immediately through and gave them the freedom to start to repressure that space. And I just saw that little interaction up top. They also then lost the fight on bottom warehouse, and everything else happened and baited, but blah, blah, blah. But I quite liked that, as did they. 2-1.
Is that a fluke highlight of the week?
No.
The Carry Hills TV burp. It's the fluke highlight of the week.
But I think if I was ever in charge of like the highlights that would come through,
As many bombs as they can.
I would just choose the silliest possible moments.
Yep.
What would I
also another big issue that I did also see was, yes, they've opened up IT breach. Yes, they've rammed the floor, but nobody played in the verts, and you've just got 2 people sat in storage, and just nobody from Gen.G thought maybe we should kill these guys before we think about jumping in through that window. That's another thing which I found very strange. You've done that work of bringing in the ram into your lineup, opening up that wall with the thermite. Yes, you've rammed it, but you need to kill the guys inside of storage. You need to put pressure on them. Once you clear out storage, then you can pull back and go for the plant, but you need to kill those guys who are in the bomb site.
MACKO have been able to find success on a site that isn't often the case, but I mean, the removal of the Clash versus the change out of the Blitz, I think the Clash had in some pockets more impact. There was stress, especially in that last round. As I said, it was sort of utilized beautifully, and they're learning on how to waste the time of the approach of Gen.G, and Gen.G just don't want to mess around with that game. No more Nook currently. Gonna go for something a little bit more traditional here on the take, get across the top, and it seems like, apart from this extension of these castle barricades, it buys them time to get out of here. We're going a bit medieval on this hold.
I'm reloading.
They forgot the siege engines.
Where's the trebuchets when they need them, eh?
I mean, the game's called Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, but not that kind of...
Can I have an operator who spawns in, like,
I'm waiting for the Rohirrim to come over the sunset.
Yeah, 500 meters away from the map, and I have a trebuchet, and I'm just sending rocks.
Yeah, you're barking up the wrong game genre, I think.
We'll do a crossover between this and For Honor.
Oh, now we're talking.
Oh yeah, and 2 bits of pressure here. The Bucks getting the 3rd floor to try and force them down to the ground floor and then the basement. But otherwise it's...
Oh, you let that go.
Yeah, then they slip away. That should have really been a pick onto Ghost. A bit of parkour won't solve the bomb of not killing a man.
Yeah, needed to get that kill. I mean, you're going for the effort of clearing away those roamers from the top floor. You need to be able to finish them well. So yeah, a kill that does go begging, and Teb has got the first pick, able to eliminate the Aurora, and that would have been their execute operator to, again, block off those doorways as they go in for the plant. So without that operator, what is their plan B now for Gen.G? And a retake coming in from MACKO has also hit them where it hurts, and Azox is down. There's the Grim. So both of the execute operators are out the door. And Gen.G now left in a very difficult position where they have to rely on getting these picks. And again, similar to what we've seen on Cafe, MACKO don't need to do anything. Just sit on their hands.
That's it. 30 seconds. They're finally trying to make their way down cargo, but Acquia's not far away. So as soon as they start to activate, things get pressured again. So they've got to keep driving. And then that happens. Gets the death. Oh, somehow Skies wins that fight out, but 20 seconds, and it's only going to get you 1 body. You still have to try and do more than that. Lolo. Exceptional couple of rounds, and that's refusing to end right now. They get 1 more for the trouble. They're on the default cam the whole time here. Just sort of trying to bait them in.
Yeah.
It didn't quite work.
Gen.G, I think losing out in that first pick hurt them. I think they wanted to obviously clear those roamers away in the mid floor and then get the kill, as the guy obviously had to run away from the Buck and the Ram doing their job. And then you lose that opening pick, you lose that Aurora. Immediately, the game plan is gone. You know, the operator that you want to have for that execute, where I assume it would be an Animus drop, and then you block off the doorways that connect both of the bomb sites, and it's a simple plant. I assume that's what they were attempting. But if you lose those operators right from the get-go, you're never going to get anything going. So Gen.G went for the timeout. Now, going for the timeout here, I feel is a little bit premature, because I wouldn't say that it's been atrocious from them. I mean, they're still in this game. It's only 2-2, and don't forget they still have the defense to come. But hey, if the coach sees something, then coach sees something, then it is what it is. It's their call at the end of the day.
I think that's sort of the idea of it, right? You know, you're 2-2, you're on your attack. No one had high expectations of attack coming into this. Statistically, not even from their history of playing this map was the attack the sort of driving stat. But remember how the earlier days have gone. It's been 2 opening 5-1 halves for both the defenders across the 2 different teams across the first 2 maps. And yet, what they want to stop here, theoretically, MACKO getting momentum, theoretically, whatever the coach said. Hang on, something is wrong here. Let's piece these together. What is the disconnect that suddenly appeared that is suddenly such an alarm bell for Gen.G? It's 2 apiece. For a lot of people, they've already done the work they needed to do, but I think just the confidence is that key. That little pull back over into their favor, just to get themselves the ones that are going slightly quicker, nipping at the heels of MACKO rather than the other way around, where these rotates are coming through for MACKO. The punishment is happening, and they are unfortunately just on the receiving end. In terms of the takes, the pulse might be the new problem. On the board, getting themselves underneath. We've seen some pressure applied vertically by the sides of the buck, so Azox is just going to have a fight sooner rather than later. The Flores, great bit of utility removal. Just driving in, clearing these corners, clearing these pockets of these ADSs and anything else that can try and stop it. But it's otherwise, you know, unless you get the barbs and maybe some Fenrir gadgets, it's going to be swing fights.
Gen.G, again, it's that priority of getting that wall open, isn't it? Bringing in the Maverick for that reason, just to make your job a lot easier. You can, of course, drop that reinforced wall and then bring in your self-destruction operators. You've got the Buck and also the Flores, who can do both of those jobs. Naturally, for MACKO, they're going to try and lean in again with this Pulse, who I think we also seen it yesterday. I think from EFAC, he played it down here in Labs, and again, it was pretty good with the value. You were able to kind of see, okay, where are the attackers wanting to stem their take from. He was also able to get a C4 kill from it. So the Pulse is going to provide a lot of information, and they don't know whether he's down there. It will be pretty vital as we move into the kind of final dying seconds of the round. We know that just that little bit of information can be a big turning point for many teams. Still working for the walls, though. It's taken them quite a while. I mean, I wouldn't say the pacing is overly fast here from Gen.G. They're taking their time about it, and whenever the time starts ticking away, then they maybe have to try and rush things later on, and that does cause issues.
I'll get in the bulletproof out the corner and still putting the pressure on, but 50 seconds. The wall needs to be smashed open, and there's that fight I talked about. Tev does get caught out below, so the Buck now has free real estate and free reign. There's a man with a shotgun and some pellets that somehow slipped by that fight with neither of them getting entirely locked in. That is some hellish architecture, and a Buck that's doing a lot of damage and a shotgun doing its best to do it back, but they were just surrounded. The pistol is the end, but 20 seconds. Deadshot gets one more. A 5 versus 2. They're going to try and get the plant, but there's the cover. Lolo got one, confident enough to swing on, but not the best position. Dora does find a single before the double is pushed back against them. Back in the lead, Gen.G. They stop MACKO hurtling away with a 3rd round in a row. Instead, they are the ones to guarantee themselves an even half at least.
Playing rounds from Gen.G. They took their time. I mean, they've only just opened up the connector wall with 50 seconds left, and you kind of think, okay, but you still got this smoke who can play close, and swing in on, you know, E-Box makes it very difficult. But no, they had the Buck rotate downstairs, made very quick work of the flooring. It moved them out of position. You then get the collapse on them. You eliminate that player close on the electrical door. It opens up sight for yourself. I mean, Azlox in the Buck today has been great, though, hasn't he? And actually fighting from below. You obviously we've seen a lot of that over towards Lair. But yeah, I think clean execute.
It's the thing about the positions that they like to sort of put the pressure onto as well, because you're throwing someone into what is technically a 1 versus 1. You're sort of putting the confidence in, and he's not always that player, but he seems to have the step up in engagement. It helps that when you're up against someone like Tev, who can be a fantastic 1 versus 1, sort of throw me in, I'll find it my way out player. hasn't quite connected with the series in the same way that they had earlier on. Oh, this map is the same way as they had earlier on in the series even, sorry. But Lolo, in the meantime, though, huge start here for MACKO.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him,
Activating shot zone.
might be more of a divide right now.
I mean, even you could say the same about MACKO as well in the early rounds on the Nook.
Yeah.
Is making things happen. So both teams have found their champion.
Let them fight.
Let them go
Send
for it.
them in.
But I think, obviously, for MACKO, it's they want that team performances. I'm sure both teams do want that team performance. The other players need to start picking up the pace. Gen.G are looking for that very slow approach, going in from below, using these operators like the Nook to try and catch somebody by surprise. And they've got the drone work, they've got information on positions of these defenders. And now that they've got the Nook in, who can just wait and bide his time until the perfect moment, they can start looking at opening up in towards IT, which they've done so successfully. And here comes Skies. Is anyone going to be ready for it? Don't forget, there is a Legion, so a goo mine is a big possibility that it could be in a position. These guys can easily go for this, and yeah, we'll get the kill. It's only a matter of time, but that Nook is causing havoc for this MACKO side again. This has been the bane of their existence.
Drone activated.
Now it's 3-2, and with the minute ticking on, that body is going to be something that just haunts them, because if they fall 4-2 with how the series has gone, I mean, it's the risk, right? Do you call your timeout early? You know you're on towards your attack. Do you just sort of trust that you could throw it in, or do you see what can stick on the other side? It's pressure. It's Deadshot. Pulls their way down Cargo. He's sort of concerned about somebody maybe coming up behind him, but at this point, Gen.G, they've got the fight quite flat. It's MACKO on the pinch. Oh no, it's Skies. I saw a Nook and thought it was MACKO, but Skies is the one at this point stepped in. They just quickly give themselves a bit more space, make more of this a worry to hang around on. They don't want to throw themselves into a 1 versus 1 engagement, but the timer demo here, again, it's slow, it's cautious, and it's a bit concerning. There has to be somebody that wants to operate on the side of this. Gen.G have to pick a fight before this round suddenly goes away from them. Time will eat all of us as Teb gets the C4 on towards the Blackbeard. It's a big bit of utility gone, but it's a big operator taken out. Asa can't just charge their way in. It's a bit of a smoke coverage, but there's at least one player still watching as MACKO does finally find Teb. 20 seconds. The fight is above on the pillar. They're about to get predicted. Skies gets one. Dora gets MACKO right back. 3 versus 2. They've put pressure on the verticality, but they still haven't started the plant demo. 10 seconds. At this point, it's going to turn into a 2 versus 2. Slips their way past. Cannot find the confirmation. There's the swing, and they went for the right thing there. Try and stop the planner, but Gen.G as close as you like.
Oh, what a round from Skies. Oh, I'd love to see his heat map, because he was everywhere on that round. He was downstairs, he went up in through Cargo, he found a pick, and then he retreated up and he was looking to push in towards Games, coming in from vending stairs, and then he pushes up through Fish, hits the guy from behind, rotates all the way down through back into Cargo, covers his team as he goes for the plant. I mean, that was really, really good. And it was that confusion for MACKO, literally from the kind of rip. You get hit with that Nook, and that Nook is always going to be an issue in the back of their heads. It's, where is this Nook? Where is he? And they just had no idea where he was the entire time. And yeah, just played havoc. You know, even you kind of seen Ghost upstairs. I don't know if we'll see it in the replay. As the Azami, you know, he's looking for the guy fishing, and he has to turn his attention towards Garage and back. Just Ghost was never in a position where he could just sit and hold one angle, because he was always fearful of that Nook.
4-2 MACKO. And obviously, if this first one falls away and it's a 5-2 divide, you know they've got a lot of defense. What do you do at that point? Because it's been rough on the defender side in the showdown. I know I've mentioned it a couple of times, but it makes every decision have so much more stress around it. They have, obviously, things to waste as much time as possible. Not going to try the pocket mirror trick. We talked about the power of double electricity bands. It was great in the first map when
5
it was
seconds left
used
before
against
insertion.
MACKO. MACKO have been like, yeah, we really did struggle with that game. But at the same time, it's double hard breach ban against them. So instead, play with the mirror. This is not going to try and trick against the utility. But you can still have the clash. You can still have a bit of growth and maybe some impact tricks if you're feeling good.
Oh, MACKO. Looking at the lineup. Gotta make it work. You bring in the glass. With only 2 smokes, by the way. That's it. Just the glass's own smokes. So it's not as though it's kind of orientated around this operator. It's just going to be a quick pocket play in hopes that Teb can maybe find 1 kill by surprising them. Of course, with that glass, but we'll see how he wants to play it. As for Gen.G in their setup, again, pretty standard. You've got the Azami in towards Catwalk, and oh, well, there goes the glass. So, yeah, didn't do much, did you, Teb, with that operator, and things go from bad to worse for him, because now he's 2-7. A poor performance so far, and it's a last shot round. MACKO just trying to do individual plays, and it's not working out for them, getting battled back at every moment. There's an impact grenade to send Dora flying, and yeah, 2v5. Round's over. Look at Lolo. Look at the facial expression. He knows it's over. Just lean back in the chair. Frustration is now setting in for them. Gen.G on top of the world.
Well, I think that's the split now, right? Is if they're going to hurtle towards 5-2, as I said, you've got your timeout, but it's still a long, long route to have to come back in. And there's everything to waste as much time as possible, and you've still got to do the rotate with the bans as they are. You think you're going down to the basement, you've got no Maverick, you've got no Thermite. You'll be able to get the breaches open from, but it's going to be stressed, it's going to be slowed down, and it forces you to have to pick into certain playstyles that maybe it's not what MACKO would like to get themselves done. A minute. Ghost on the long row and rotate. Not immediately finding a fight. You can see that the Azami's built themselves a bit of a castle here as they don't even catch the Azami. The Blackbeard hops in, tries to get the pinch, looks for the second, the dead shot, gets a second of his own, and now a flawless.
Too easy. Just way too easy for Gen.G. Didn't look for a moment that they were ever really worried. Very simple for them. Standard hold. That Azami in towards top rafters. What a troublesome operator. And whenever teams are opting to go for the electrification bans, that's now what you have to go against, is those strong operators who can hold those positions. You've got the Clash, you've got the Azami. I don't think they had the Mira, but again, Mira is always a possibility also. But MACKO are just caught in a whirlpool. They don't know what to do. They really don't. It's been, what, 3 rounds on the bounce here for Gen.G? Something needs to happen.
It's tough because we've seen the players play with the passion that they have. We've seen the drive that they've had before, but it almost feels like the end of a long road, which it is. You just know how close you are, and it's more frustrating because of that, because they know that a loss here above all other losses is the last loss. There is nothing after this. You are sat, unfortunately, in that cool black, waiting for the light to turn back on in a few months. That's it, and there's no other way of driving it. And Gen.G, they've gotten themselves off to a start. They've driven themselves further on. Regardless of whether they were fed the right or the wrong information about the side predictions, apparently it didn't really matter here. Our analysts who back Gen.G on the side of defense can ride out that prediction at the end of this potentially, because they have just shown up sharp. Obviously, NACO's been huge, but Deadshot as well. Think about Deadshot on the last map. He was nowhere. Just could not find a groove. He was 1-9 throughout the entire showdown on Cafe. And then here, he started to get his gun active. He started to get himself thrown in. He's been a big player for some of the best performances of Gen.G that we've had. Skies as well. Bit quiet on the last map. We asked for a bit, and he stepped up a bit, but it still wasn't positive. And yet, at the final hurdle, the French team just have a little bit extra leap in their step. It's Still not over. 5-2. There's still a chance to keep themselves off of that eventual total map series point. But the first engagement, they've got to pick it precious.
Yeah, need this round, or else you give Gen.G that match point. You give them so much breathing room whenever they know they have that 4-point gap. Yeah, it's big. So, MACKO, you've whipped out that Monty in hopes that they can try and stabilize your team. Better make it work. Gonna go through quite a decent amount of plant denial because you've got the Goyle and also the smoke and an ensemble of C4s to accompany that. They're just gonna try and go for the direct take where you simply walk down through EXO and you try and walk into the site and go for the blind spot plant. Now, the main thing if you want to go for that is you need to have storage control, which at the moment they do. Nobody's inside of storage, but they're actually never mind. Gen.G have just taken it. Skies just walked in there being, I think, assisted by a player inside of the cargo stairs, and then also MACKO's all the way upstairs on that top floor. So if they don't have the mid-floor control, how on earth are they going to be able to go for this plant? As you can see, the holes are open right above the Monty. Tell me he's just going to try and go for this. I mean, that's not going to work.
Well, now with the mirror window broken on the other side, the Azami is under so much pressure, but you can see the pressure's mounting behind. It's turning into a boiling point as all the 10 players start to circle. But as you said, MACKO, this is their only option right now. They have a pinch on a player inside. They don't have the vertical. They don't have above the vertical. They're going to try and get the Azami. Fine, great. You've got one person that's brilliantly wasting time alongside those Goyos. We've been in this position now for 40, 50 seconds, and they haven't been able to get anything for it. At this point, the Azami in a very dangerous position, but with the Kivas gone, they get rid of the first. A smoke canister, 30 seconds. They still don't have the vertical. Temp's going to see if he can try and get that and put the pressure across the top. They're stretching the hole. They're stretching themselves in on towards the core and the connection of the site here, breaking their way. Down onto the back, and there's Dora getting one before Deadshot trades them out in Skies. Either side and either way, 10 seconds. They can only plant right behind the station on the back and almost hits the feet of the bottom. They're just spraying through. They seem to have a good awareness, but they can't get the right connection. It's going to be a post plant. Somehow,
mess them on,
some way they slip away, but there's MACKO down the cargo stairs with a delivery. Dora, not much health, all that's left. Holding on against Skies and MACKO, who have been pretty spot on this map so far. There's an easy pickup on the first. Reveals where the player is, 20 seconds, and they pull back perfectly. They don't have to be anywhere close to this. Holding on, they seem to have the awareness. They pull off just and they get it! MACKO has been beyond exceptional this map. And as he pushes Gen.G to map and series point, doesn't seem to be changing soon.
Smooth, cold, aura, whatever you want to describe him as. Clinical is the word I'm going to go with. You need players stepping up in the big moments, and he's done just that. I thought they botched it. Player above couldn't kill the Monty, but then MACKO just comes down cargo, finds 2 of them. And then a beautifully played clutch. Baits him in. Sticks it right until the final second. Gets off. Here's the guy full sprinting through. An easy shot. Has enough time. Get that diffuser off. Yeah, biggest moment of this series so far. And that could be the game-defining one as well. I think, honestly, they could win it off that because now they've got that 4-round buffer that I mentioned. MACKO need to be good for 4 in a row. No mistakes. And with the way that Gen.G is playing, Gen.G ain't making many mistakes. They're playing really, really well again. I mean, yes, that comes down to your individual pulling off a massive clutch. But still, overall for Gen.G, the idea was good. I just think the reason why that diffuser got planted was fair play to MACKO. They made a good decision. Yes, they knew that there's a player inside of storage. They can't go for the default plant that they wanted. So they thought, okay, let's use that shield. Let's push deep. Let's gather information on the players in the site. We'll pick up those kills, which they did, and then they'll shift their attention to the other bomb site.
Almost made the impossible land, but it still shouldn't have, right? As you said, Gen.G kind of let that one slip through a bit. MACKO know they still have to keep stepping it up. They didn't even get it, but What did they have when they went for that? Really nothing. They just sent it and hoped. And hope almost saved the day. As well as Dora. Now from this, everything has to be perfect.
Drone activated.
They have to have a reflection of a half that seems so long ago. So they're getting the read on the rotations, the positions. Obviously, Gen.G could have this site fall away from them. They're not planning on it. But then they go back to either of the two that they've already won. There's the quick pressure, there's the run in, a close play. C4 won't get the catch, the blitz chose the other route, and it's a traded engagement. Lolo gone, as is Asa, but the plant's being cemented, and the C4 says no. Watched underneath, they tried something quick, and now a 3 versus 3. The clash still on the board. One shield across the two teams. Will it be a difference maker with a minute 20? They've pulled themselves a bit further back. They're not going to offer the clash as a freebie. You can hear it. The shield. An echo of lightning screaming its way around the back of the corridor as all they're chasing right now is the ghosts, memories of players that have otherwise lifted off and said, look, we can now watch this from below. You're in a sandwich of pain. The blinds and the pressure on towards Dora on the back line. Top Cargo forced further and further out. You can see MACKO begging, trying, desperately clawing towards just a single engagement, but Gen.G aren't handing it to them. Very cleverly, they've grouped themselves back up. They've set themselves in towards the trade game, and as I said, they're playing this elsewhere. Dora's now the one that's going underneath. Looking for this. The engagement, the watch on the verticality. Whoever it is, they're about to find a 1 versus 1. It's going to be a deciding fight, and Dora gets them 30 seconds. They can pull themselves back up, go for a plant. Once again, the C4. Oh, will get swung out, Skies. Wins it. Pulls himself behind the pillar. The clash has gone up to the top again, so now they've retaken the top floor once again, Demo. 19 seconds. If they don't know about the clash, she could watch this from the breaches put before, but Skies might not need them to. 10 seconds, Dora on the long rotate. There's a soft on this way as well. It's Gen.G losing out that engagement, picks it up and holds F, but runs out of time. There it is. Gen.G, after all, they are the ones that get to breathe the sigh of relief and claim that 5th spot. They've stood toe-to-toe with the best of the region and come out bloodied, but they do still get a prize for it.